let it consume me, I let it control me. I'll always be lonely, I'll never be fine. If life is a movie, it's always so boring. Where is the story? I hope it gets better with time. Yeah, I hope it gets better with time. It's better with time. Don't look back when I call you, but does that mean that you don't care? Go back to when I saw you, your beautiful eyes with a deadly stare. You think I'm stupid, but I get it now. How long can we make this go? Won't hurt to let it out, baby, cause I got to know. Don't break away, cause I want to stay, cause I want to stay. Don't break away, cause I want to stay, cause I want to stay, cause I want to stay. Don't break away, cause I want to stay, cause I want to stay. Don't break away, cause I want to stay, cause I want to stay. I let it consume me, I let it control me. I'll always be lonely, I'll never be fine. If life is a movie, it's always so boring. Where is the story? I hope it gets better with time. Yeah, I hope it gets better with time. It's better with time. Yeah, I hope it gets better with time. 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 Time. Yeah, I hope it gets better with time. I hope it gets better with time. I let it consume me, I let it control me. I'll always be lonely, I'll never be fine. If life is a movie, it's always so boring. Where is the story? I hope it gets better with time. Yeah, I hope it gets better with time. Insomnia keeps me up at night. I sleep on the wrong side. From what I've seen, you're quite the wandering kind. How long have you known?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the community stream here, focusing on the EU Challengers scene. Stage 2 starts off with a very electric day. A lot of actually really key matchups, and including even the Grand Finals rematch that'll be happening in that second slot. Unfortunately, we will not have a chance to watch over that, but hey, it's still happening. Still a lot to go over. My hold shift with me is Infinity, and we're going to be dealing with a pretty fresh look, I think, overall, for not just one of these teams, but really for both of them. But for 67K specifically, they come through the qualifier, and a bit of a surprise, I would say, that they're in the position they are right here early to play up against a team like Trainhard.
Absolutely, and I think the magical thing about 67K is they're one of these dark horse rosters, and I know we use that term pretty liberally in esports, especially in Call of Duty esports, but they could definitely come out here and surprise Trainhard, especially with the position they're in, right? Trainhard, they are effectively also a new roster. They recently made that roster change, bringing in Eric Boom. It didn't work out, and now they bring in Detain, so they're still going to be sort of fresh in a sense, right?
Absolutely. It's one of those things that I feel like you've got a situation here where the experience for Trainhard you would favor, generally speaking. But for 67K, they've surprised a lot of people. I mean, you're looking at players like Bean, Sane, and Nuke. We haven't seen them play at this level really ever, it feels like, up until, through some of the online cup series and stuff of that nature. But we're getting ready to go. We'll break down the maps as we come back after this map number 1, because we are loading into what will be a Moscow hardpoint here for us. And the conversation points that I think we need to focus on is not just on some of these individual players, especially from the 67K POV, but also got to keep in mind that the meta has also drastically changed when it comes to what weapons that we're expecting to be seeing.
Absolutely, it has. No more XM4. That is gone for stage 2. It's now going to be Krig 6, and of course, the weakened AK-74U as well. Now that the compensator and the muzzle brake have been GA'd here in Europe, so we're going to be seeing, I guess, a new meta in a sense. We'll see how that does vastly affect the AR and the sub players here in Europe. But we're going to get right into the thick of things here. Shift Moscow hardpoint to kick things off, and we're going to be on board with Nuke J straight off the bat.
Yeah, he's definitely kind of stolen a lot of attention here. Very electric SMG player, which we've said a lot about a number of different players that have kind of come through the challenger scene. Mostly, again, just looking at what Modern Warfare had provided now here as well with Cold War. And, well, not a great start for him. Does fall to start things off. But for 67K, not bad overall. I mean, you're able to still contest this first hard point. It just comes down to, at a certain point, how do you get across and try to work over towards a second hard point break?
Absolutely, it does. That second hardpoint break, we've seen it be the downfall of many teams early on Moscow hardpoint over the course of this season thus far. And, well, we're about to see some of these rotational gunfights coming pretty much straight away as over towards Saiyan, winning that gunfight against Henry. Still got a bit more to be done here. Whalers over towards that rotation. Big rotational gunfight going down, and Niall's actually going to lose it. It's a massive win for Whalers. Unfortunately for him, though, he's still got players up spawning street because of the fact that his team are currently still sitting in checkers. So Whalers still has a little bit of work to do. Unfortunately, he is going to fall now. 67K still looking here for the pressure around the back, and they should adversely affect the spawn sooner rather than later. Beans and Niall able to come on through, and 67K are going to win that phase of gunfights.
Perfectly textbook when it comes to how you're going to break over that second hard point, get some control over through that apartment complex that blocks those spawns. You got to remember that Moscow has been adjusted. I know a lot of people are used to seeing it from what we had in the stage 1 major finals, and again, there are a lot less room for some of those spawns to come in through. So if you're able to get down the street and into the apartment complex, you will block those spawns much easily, and that's what you're going to see here from Trainhard. They essentially do the exact same thing. Problem is that Nuke is still up top, and he's able to help get some kills and make sure that no reinforcements for Trainhard can freely get to the hard point. But with the scrap time about 12 seconds still coming through, that will eventually be a forfeit from 67K. Allow Trainhard to get that scrap, but turn your attention to what's happening on the top left-hand side. All 4 members in blue already here, ready to go for the third hard point.
Big first wave of kills here coming from 67K. If you can hold on to this time, it would be huge. But 2 Trainhard members have slipped the net. Whalers is going to pick up 1, so now it all falls on really Saiyan here. Round the back, you also do have Nuke J there, but as he falls, Saiyan has so much to do here. He's able to pick up 1, looking for number 2. Will actually get it. Surely not number 3 as well. Whalers comes in from behind, though. It was a good attempt from Saiyan, but Trainhard have managed to flip the spawns here, and now 67K going to have to fight this from the front. Niall is able to get 1. It's going to be Beans also there inside the hill. Nuke J trying to force the issue. 67K still facing all this pressure, but Saiyans going around the back here, able to pick up one. Unfortunately, no more though, and that will leave just one player in Nile inside the hard point. Train Hard should get this scrap time. The last 15 seconds will be theirs.
Both teams are doing really well when it comes to trying to work around the back. I mean, 67K had the initial rotation. Pretty much, I hesitate to say locked, but all 4 members were in the back of library ready to go. Just came down to the fact that Train Hard were playing just as resiliently by getting into the bank and then trying to fight up against where those spawns were for 67K, forced them to have to hit from the front and hold from the front. And so even though Train Hard are still finding themselves down, they've done well to make sure that both of these 2 money hills have not largely just been free time for 67K, considering the fact that they were the team that was kind of positioned for those hard points first. So now we go over towards the boulevard. It's going to be a right playing up against left when it comes to positioning for both the squads. And well, now finally we're starting to see some good progress when it comes to some score generated, as 67K are doing a really nice job initially of locking things from behind. But just as soon as the pinch comes in, Train Hard once again are able to push right back through the hard point and get some score of their own.
Big kills coming in from Train Hard. You do not want to let 67K get this time. And well, 67K at the moment, they're not really letting Train Hard get any time as well. It's very hard to get time, generally speaking, off the Boulevard hardpoint. And 67K, well, they're trying to prove me wrong here, looking to get some kills. But Detain able to come on through. He will get the last 10 seconds of time with Train Hard. And as we turn our eyes over towards the rotation, you can see 67K prepping themselves to make sure they hold the spawns for an eventual P2. And well, prepare yourself for where Train Hard are going to come from. But it is going to be Henry alongside Whalers coming through Eskies. And these are big kills to get as well. Keza on the other side trying to get control of Street. If he wins this one against Bean, it should open up a lane for Train Hard to push on through. They're currently soaking up some time here, Shift. And you can see these rotational gunfights coming through. 67K trying to hold on.
They're still spawning. I mean, this is still a 50-50 spawn situation right now. You've got players that for 67K are spawning up by the library, and then for Train Hard, they're spawning down by the street. So there's really nobody in position for what has been the desired area, which is the second hard point that's coming up. And it's allowed an opportunity with all of that kind of chaos of Train Hard trying to play for the back for the second hard point to allow 67K to just find some free time. I mean, these kill totals are not high. I mean, we've got Nuke J, who's averaged a kill per hard point, Beans, who's barely doing better than that, and somehow 67K still find themselves in the lead by 40 points. This has been a very strange Moscow hard point, and I think a lot of it is because everyone just wants to play for the back, and we haven't seen really all that much when it comes to initial setups locking down a hard point. And that's going to be the case once more here for our second hill. Train Hard once more through the apartment complex and street, have gotten into the back and bounced 67K out of the second hill.
This could be a huge time as well for Train Hard to really get back into this game and maybe even take the lead away from 67K. Bean still fighting for this one through lobby. You can see 67K actually spawning up around the street side as well. And not giving this one up just yet. Nile is going to fall though, and now this one more kill. I mean, 67K, how much pressure do they really want to put on this now, Shift? Because now you got to really focus on that rotation with 25 seconds left.
And I think you're okay giving up this scrap time as much as it pains you to see them essentially tie this game up for free. It just comes down to, we need to see the 67K hold on to a setup. I mean, we've seen now out of the 5 hard points that we've largely had, 3 of them have been at least initially gained by 67K. The problem is Train Hard is breaking so darn well, including this play through Bank, which is the exact same way they did it last time. And you can see 67K are turning more members over to try to deal with this pressure over through the bank, including Beans, who will be able to get behind Whalers. But does it come maybe a touch too late? Because with that kill, it should be enough for the side of Train Hard to pressure some of these spawns. But a nice double from Beans and Saiyan zoning mid-map will now essentially give 67K the setup that they wanted.
On Saiyan in a huge position here. You're basically guarding the mid-map. Train Hard, you got to deal with him really to get anywhere near the hill. And Saiyan's such a good SMG player. He's proven it right now. He gets a 3 spree. Just going to keep Train Hard away for another 10 seconds or so. And now it's going to be Nile ready for this push. You've also got Beams on the other side. Train Hard looking to filter through this one lane. Nile going to be made weak by the Semtex. He's going to die. Great play coming out from Train Hard here as they now look to push on through. You deal with Saiyan, you will be just fine and dandy, but it comes down to Detain versus Saiyan. Detain going to win it. Beautiful 2-piece from Detain now. A 3 spree for him as well. And this will be scrap time going the way of Train Hard. But right still here, Shift, they are down by quite a margin.
Yeah, it's one of those things that for as much as we've kind of come through and said 67K isn't really holding all that successfully, it's the simple fact of the matter that they're still walking away with the majority of each of these hardpoint times, even if it is 31 seconds to 29 seconds. They're still able to win a lot of these hardpoints, and I think now the pressure for Train Hard is, okay, we've established we can break these hardpoints without too much concern, but what are we going to do to win a rotation and actually hold some of this time? Because you need to start getting one of these hard points back into your favor, and it looks like this fourth one was the attempt, but once more, 67K battling from the front side of the hard point, doing well to make sure that 67K can still look at this hill, and beyond that, make sure Trainhard isn't getting free time. So we have a little bit of a negotiation at range here when it comes to who wants to really get onto this hard point, but once more, I mean, even with players that really aren't finding a lot of kills in total for 67K, they're soaking up an absolute incredible amount of hard point time, and that will lead them to getting this back 10 seconds and once again stretching their lead to above 40.
It does really just feel like Trainhard, they've been behind by about 40 to 50 seconds the entirety of this game, and they've just been unable to close that gap. And yet still, as we go into our third and final set of rotations this shift, 67K, they are in the lead. Let's see if they can expand it. You've got Trainhard spawning towards P2, so they're in the better position at the moment, but you need to make sure that 67K do not get this time, and the kills inside the hard point are going 67K's way. For Trainhard, you do have to push this. The Tane and Whalers are ready for it, but they just cannot get past this front line of players, and now look at the spawn shift. You got Keza, you got the Tane spawning out for that rotation. This is not a good position for Trainhard to find themselves in. Now Henry's going to lose the rotational gunfight as well. And that's 25 seconds of scrap time that will go Trainhard's way, but this rotation will be monumentally important for the game.
Yeah, it's still very doable, though. Again, there's so much time here, and you even saw, even with this little solo push through from Trainhard, they did force a couple of spawns to come away. Saiyan, though, able to find a shot punch after dealing with the Tane first and foremost, but Whaler still wins into the hard point. Just comes down to, can he play his life a little while longer, because his teammates are not here, but apparently that might not make much of a difference. Whaler's able to get a shot punch of his own. Now help has arrived, and Trainhard, they break through from the front, even in the face of what was an incredible play from Saiyan.
And 67K, well, they're not done with this time just yet. You got Whalers on a spree. You're going to need to shut him down. He's pretty good with that Krig 6, but Detain up top in police. That's going to be a position 67K want to get a hold of, but at the moment, they just can't do it. Detain takes down one Insane, and now 67K being pushed away from this hill with 35 seconds left. You've got Whalers on a 6 spree. Trainhard looking good to submerge into this game. 67K, you want to put a stop to this because streaks are here now in Europe. Whalers is not going to get them. That is a huge stop for Saiyan, but that is a lot of time that did go the way of Trainhard.
Yeah, they're able to put themselves right back in the game, but they would have had win condition off of an artillery strike because you could have committed every single member to hitting through that old time at P2 and maybe even retake the lead because you could just break with the artillery strike. So that off the table is now a tool that Trainhard will have to sit there and say, okay, we don't have it in our toolbox. We have to back off. We have to concede this time and make sure we actually get a solid lockdown here for the third hard point. And it's already been made difficult by Nile, who's made his way through the middle, finds himself a second kill. Henry, good trigger discipline, but does not get the kill on the nuke. Oh boy, a little turn and burn, and all of a sudden 67K have the numbers from the front of the hill.
This is such an awkward position because Trainhard spawning around the back now. 67K going to have to fight this from the front. It's not impossible, but it is extremely hard to pull off. But Nuke J, let's see how easy he can make it. He gets one, looking for the second. Henry is going to win that engagement. So Trainhard still have a presence towards the back here. Beans is the last player left standing on this hard point. Somehow manages to get that kill versus Henry. God knows how. And 67K are surely going to let this time go here. 15 seconds left now. The rotation will be coming through. 67K, they just need 16 points. Can they do it? Detain now looking to push on through. This is just one big hit coming in here from Trainhard, and 67K, they've got to be ready for it. Saiyan able to get one. The trade's now coming through. Detain, he's gonna fall. A massive gunfight to win. Nile with a Semtex as well. 67K, they win the rotation, but Trainhard shouldn't be done with this just yet. They have one good push left in them, but they need to hit this as a team. Whalers is gearing up for it. He comes up from the office, able to win one, looking for the second, but no, Nuke J stays alive. But Henry now inside the bus, and Trainhard, they've managed to push 67K out the hill.
They've zoned it for now. They were able to clear off the pressure. It just comes down to, can they actually hold this from the front? 67K have options to play with. Trainhard cannot win here. So do you want to try to pinch through the back? Do you want to set yourself up for P1? Or do you want to commit to trying to make your way through bank? And the decision seems to be just flood through, and Detain has found 3. That's going to breathe some extra life into it, and 67K are not going to get a chance to win the game on this hard point. They're being zoned too far, so it has to come down to them finding these last 7 seconds over by the Metro, but you can already see Trainhard are starting to put some numbers towards that rotation. It just comes down to who wins this initial gunfight.
Absolutely it does. Beans has a crucial one there on top of Checkers. Niles also got to win here, yes he does. So now Trainhard looking to contest this. It's going to be both Whalers and Henry here, but they both fall. And now Trainhard, you got to hit this all from top. Checkers, they're not going to be able to do it. And 67K, they start with a pretty convincing performance in map number 1. Trainhard, They were just behind, I think, for the majority of that, and they couldn't close that gap.
It just comes down to the simple fact that, again, as much as I want to praise Trainhard for finding breaks continually through that first rotation and even largely even into the second, the problem was they didn't ever fully win a rotation to get themselves a lockdown. Actually, neither team really had any of the normal hills that we would look at and sit there and say, they've locked it down. They're finding 40 plus seconds worth of time. It didn't really happen. A lot of it felt like it was 35 one way, 25 seconds to the other, or a lot of it was just neutral time or contest time. And it was just so strange, I think, going through that first rotation of hills where Nuke, he was like 2 and 8. He had 10 total interactions through 5 hard points, essentially. That's so strange to see. But the fact of the matter is, he's on the hard point. He's able to lock down and get some time for his team. And that would be that difference maker throughout all of what was the majority of that first map up until Trainhard finally were able to get that nice little breakup, getting into the second hard point, and then officially kind of giving up that scrap time because they didn't really have the opportunity to earn those streaks. I think the streaks would have played a massive difference maker in the outcome of this game, not just for a hill rotation, but in the outcome of this game. So the fact that Whalers got shut down is also, again, extremely important from 67K, and one of the small but very important reasons why they're able to find that map 1 victory.
Yeah, it did really feel like, 67K, they came out of the gate swinging. I mean, on a map like Moscow, I think very often it is like a case of if you can chain 2 hills together, it is very hard to find your way back into the game if you're the opposing team in that situation. And it just felt like one of those situations, right? And those streaks definitely would have helped Trainhard bring themselves back into it. Unfortunately, they're unable to do so. So map number 1 goes the way of 67K Shift. Let's take a look at our map set for this series then, because we haven't actually had a chance to do that yet. And obviously, this is pretty early on for a number of these teams, these 2 teams included, so we can't really go too deep into it. But Shift, I mean, this map set, right? It's pretty nice. We like to see a bit of Moscow and Garrison, not in Search and Destroy, of course, anymore. But here's what we've got.
Yeah, and it is important to note that, again, we saw kind of the post come through saying that Apocalypse and Express will officially be inserted into the competitive rule set when it comes to potential maps to play. But as far as we've kind of figured so far, it looks like a lot of our players are kind of going to give it another week before they actually decide to either use them for picks and bans. So I imagine we're going to be seeing a lot more Moscow than we've seen in recent memory. And then beyond that, I think, for Europe specifically, I feel like the Search and Destroy is going to be a little bit more regimented to playing on maps like not just Moscow, but also Miami, because they, again, are a little bit more open, a little bit more manageable to play around with. And, if we're not going to be seeing Garrison anymore, Checkmate is kind of forms in the same side of favor or disfavor when it comes to trying to be able to work multiple bomb sites. And I think the fact of the matter is, for a lot of our teams, when it comes down to playing the Search and Destroy, they want to have more options available, because let's be honest, for a lot of these challengers teams, their Search and Destroy strategies really have been fleshed out. The playbook is starting to be built up pretty nicely for a lot of them, even regarding some teams that are making some pretty dramatic changes when it comes to the rosters overall. A lot of those things are still going to be inherently understood as far as, okay, this bomb site, back in December, it was very difficult to get to. Not so much the case really anymore. So it'll be interesting, I think, to see what kind of happens through this first week. And then once the teams decide that, yeah, we do want to let these be picked and banned, essentially, how much will we see maps like Apocalypse and Express come into the mix? Because I think everyone is ready for seeing a little bit more balance across the ability to play different Search and Destroys, and especially with Crossroads Hardpoint being in a bit of a weird situation, seeing a much more open, much more flexible map. And I think both of them will provide some really interesting storylines when we eventually get there. But for Moscow Search and Destroy, I'm just really interested to see what Whalers can do with this squad. I mean, you figured that ARs are going to be largely the dictators and kind of quarterbacks for a lot of the plays that we're going to have here. So I'd be interested to see if Trainhard can bounce back into the Search and Destroy and start off with something that we may not expect, because the 67K team, again, is relatively newly formed.
I'd like to see Trainhard here come out with some aggression. I'd really like that, to be honest. I think, if you look at this Trainhard team, you've got players that could, for the most part, use SMGs and ARs. A lot of them have been flex players in the past. You're looking towards Keza and Henry, both of which have had to play flex roles on various different teams. But more than anything, I think if you were to put an SMG in their hands, now that you've got Tane on the roster, I would really like to see these guys just start to run up in the face of 67K, because I don't know if this 67K roster would be able to deal with that aggression. I think that's the question for me, right? You got to remember that the 67K team is still a new roster. So if Trainhard can maybe start to rattle them a little bit, it would be quite interesting for sure.
Well, here we go. We're going to jump right on into map number 2, the Moscow Search and Destroy. And the initial loadout for the side of Trainhard is going to be pretty passive. We see this pretty regularly, where you've got 2 members kind of just watching over the middle to check for any aggression through Metro from the defensive standpoint. And then once they get a read or no read, they'll start to kind of formulate a play. And it looks like it will be heading Beans' direction. And his timing is going to have to be absolutely clutch because he's being pushed from his left. He's got players through his window, and he's got no ability to be traded away if he falls, which he's down to just essentially one shot. And now the help is going to get there, but it's going to get there way too late. Trainhard in a very good position to try to work their way onto this B site.
NukeJ around the back now. Well, he's going to have to regroup with Saiyan pretty quickly here as Trainhard find themselves in a 4 versus 2. And look at this move from Trainhard. Going to dip right over to the A bomb site. 67k now. I mean, what do you do if you're NukeJ and Saiyan in this situation? Well, not that much. NukeJ is going to pick up 1. It was a good attempt, but Saiyan should be dead to rights, and he will be. And that is a great start right out of the gate from Trainhard here, Shift.
Yeah, and I'm just going to make a note, Sport, if we can turn the motion blur off, that would be great. I know people on chat are kind of complaining about that, so if we could possibly get that going, that would be great. Yeah, but the one thing about that setup when it comes offensively for Trainhard is the fact that it gives you options when you're trying to play a little bit more passively and you're reading to see if there's going to be any aggression. And I think there's largely, for 67k, that's a defensive setup that needs some adjustments because, I mean, flat out, just having one player all the way out by that bus in front of the globe, trying to be responsible for the street, the window, and the middle is just too much to require. But as we get into this one, it's going to be essentially all 8 players moving their way over towards A. Offensively, 67k is pretty stuck right now in the escalators, and that will lead to a very difficult way to exit. Nice little double slide shell coming through, but the trades will be there. We go 3v3.
Do indeed. Detain. No way does he get 2 there. Of course, Beans is actually going to trade that first kill out. So now Beans, a 1 versus 2. Beans, of course, is the definition of a newcomer, really, to this type of play. Unfortunately, a 1 versus 2 isn't possible for him there. And Trainhard, once again here, Shift, they are looking pretty good.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's too tepid, I feel like, from 67k. They're all essentially pinned up inside of escalators, and, well, I mean, you can see it. I mean, there's 2 players essentially watching the same thing, and even still, they're not able to get more than just the 1 kill. So there's definitely something to be said about what is our setup actually going to be looking like here if you're 67k, because I think overall you're just getting too much I won't say trust necessarily, but it's been weird to see like a full stack come into play and then not immediately challenge. Like that was a very elongated first hit, and now Trainhard going to test their luck as they move their way over towards A, fully essentially stacked up, but recognizing there's not a lot of defensive pressure from the front, so let's make sure nobody is flanking. And boy, have they read this, because Beans is working his way through library.
Oh, Beans! Oh, he gets 1. Now, how much more can he do here? Wailers is still there. That's going to be a problem. Wailers comes round through the library, able to pick up the kill. And now, 3 versus 3. Trainhard still need to play the aggressors in this round, so I'm going to need to do something. 67k have 2 eyes on the A bomb site, or 4 eyes, technically, I suppose, over here. So they will be wary of this. Saiyan has absolutely spotted out Wailers on that jump up. Nile have also, so they're ready for this. Wailers is going to fall. Now it's going to be Trainhard looking for a reposition here. They're going to go all the way over to B by the looks of things. NukeJ should be ready for this hit. 25 seconds now on the clock. This bomb should be going down. NukeJ, if he checks this, he should be all right. No, he checks it at the wrong time. Detain is going to get this bomb down. And now a 2 versus 2. Saiyan picks up 1. It's just Keza inside the window. Just going to run away here. Trying to play ring around the rosy. 35 seconds on the clock for Keza to do something. And he's looking for them. But Nile and Saiyan trying to play for the double blind. Keza's going to get 1. Surely not the second. It's not to be. Nile plays with his teammate there. And that is great team play coming out of 67k.
2 big moments overall. 67k, like you mentioned, they were able to read the one player sitting over towards the A steps. It was just jumping up and down, trying to see what exactly was happening defensively. And Nile says, let's not let him sit here and get away for free. So just as Whalers was trying to back up, Nile takes the challenge, wins the gunfight. And then, honestly, I think Nuke just needs to throw shoulders when he's playing inside this little utility room just outside the bomb site and just read to see, okay, I need to make sure that these guys actually are planting for B. Need to make sure my teammates can get here to help me on the retake so we actually have numbers. And he does get a little bit caught, but similarly so, Detain wasn't able to get out of the bomb site either. So really, really good stuff overall. And 67k, they're really picking things up pretty nicely. I mean, it's a really good retake overall. And I think better than that is just the fact that they were able to get a really nice isolation.
I can't see the parsec right now. I need Sport to get me back in. So we'll just wait for me to get back in. Shift, if you just want to take it away for a moment.
Sounds great. Will be a pretty passive setup here for 67k. Kind of the same thing that Trainhard was trying to do, but with a stack over through gold, including that's where the bomb is on the way over. So there might be an opportunity here to set up things for B. Defensively, Trainhard is actually also playing very patiently and very passively around the B site. And with that, I mean, it's going to be difficult, I think, just to kind of get a read if you're 67K on this hit of where is the defense set up. Henry's all the way in the back by the police station and will get a little bit of a read on denial, but can't finish the kill. So your bomb carrier for now will stay safe. And it just comes down to, can you commit to actually getting in this B site, not knowing how many players are in and around this site overall? And Henry is very safe up top as Whalers is watching over essentially the top of him. But I don't know if they fully read this hit where 67K, they're fully rotating over towards the A site, at least initially. They're trying to bait that defense over, but Detain, he's found a really good opening. The Semtex is able to connect, and then he chases down the kill on the nuke. And well, Nile, he will find one. The trades will be decent. The bomb is going to come down at the very last second, but Detain checks, takes down the bomb carrier, and now it's just down to, can you find the kills? Not enough time for a plant. Saiyan in 1v1 versus Keza, but Keza has stayed very safe from this. It comes a touch too late for 67K as Trainhard go up.
And there it is again. Trainhard going up again. I didn't see the round. I can't lie to you, Shift. I apologize. We are now back in. I can now cast some Call of Duty again, hopefully, if my feed isn't laggy as hell, but we're all good. Anyway, Trainhard looking pretty good here right off the start. Right, Shift 3-1 up here in Search and Destroy. Detain looking pretty good. You've got Keza starting strong as well. And I think at the moment they're just doing what I kind of said, right? I think 67K, that will apply to Search and Destroy at the moment. We'll see what they're able to do here as we do go into the next round, though. Maybe they can keep this one close. Beans should be the player to stop this initial play. Keza going to throw that nade out. 67K at the moment. I mean, they're well aware that this is a B hit, but as Keza opens up with first blood, this is going to be much harder to defend the site.
Oh, well, Niles read this. This is a full 4-man hit, so there should be information, but unfortunately, Nuke cannot get back into safety of the police station. So a very quick plant will be here, and it's going to be very difficult to break this 2v4. It's going to have to be special plays from somebody, but as Saiyan falls, it just comes down to Nile. Does find the first kill. Would be a 1v4 situation, and he's stuck between 3 different members of Trainhard. Long-range shots are decent, but not good enough for a second kill, and Trainhard will extend their lead to a 4-1.
Well, Whalers able to finish off, and well, this is just not looking good generally as it Shift for 67K at the moment. I mean, they need to do something drastically, maybe here on the offense, just go for an aggressive 4-hit. Just something to really, I think, get their foot back in this game.
There's just been a couple of miscues that have led to some of, unfortunately, unfavorable positions. You talk about that attacking stack through the escalators, maybe taking a little bit too long to know when and how we're going to challenge coming out to exit, and it leads to an opportunity where Trainhard can reinforce. Kind of the same situation when they try to go over towards the B site last time around. You know, they're in, but they try to rotate and kind of get maybe a little bit too cute in the middle of the map, and it allows Trainhard again to be able to respond to it. So I think if it's one of those things for me, I just want to see them commit a little bit harder when they're trying to set up some of these plays. I mean, these are all information reads now through the middle of the map, and to be fair, they have gained some ground, but the problem is there are crossfires set up everywhere. Tane will take care of both players through the escalators. Yeah, Beans finds the trade, but again, this will be a 1v4 in technicality.
Beans looking for a 1 versus 4. It's just not to be. And again, 67K, they're just really struggling to match the pace that Trainhard are setting at the moment. Just kills like this. You gotta trade that, and it does feel a little bit like 67K. And we saw, I think, a hint of this in the qualifier. Even though they did end up qualifying, I think they are still a squad at the moment that's trying to figure everything out. And as a team, realistically speaking, you've got to make sure that you're getting each other's trades, and that is something that they will settle in with over time. But right now, they do seem a little bit disjointed. So we'll see whether or not they're able to fix that. They're not out of this one just yet, but 5-1 down. They have quite a ways to go. And Trainhard, well, they are in a solid position. Let's see if they can close this out as they approach the A-bomb site. First kill does go the way of Nile. 67K, though. Trade's going in their favor, and now it's all the way down to a 1 versus 1. A very quick round here. Whalers going to have to back on up.
I love the call, though, from 67K. They double stack 2 members defensively through middle and say, hey, we don't see anything. Oh, would you look at that? A lot of nades are going over towards A. Let's try to hit up this escalator and see if we can break up this play. And they do it successfully. It's just the kind of post-martyrdom Semtex that finds a full kill. 1v1 situation, though. Whalers He holds down the trigger even beyond the kill as they find a way to bounce back. The Moscow search and destroy 6-1 after falling on the hard point just marginally. And, I hesitate to say it, but, for all of the hype that we were kind of throwing over to Nuke's direction, that is another slow start for him that does not turn around overall. I think he only finished with a single kill in total.
Yeah, it's one of those rough things, right? Where I think we're seeing very early 67k at the moment, and Search and Destroy, I think, is by far and away the deepest game mode in terms of strategy and everything as a team. That has always been the case, right? And I think for a new team like 67k, even though they've been playing with Beanbag, I think it was, for a few weeks on end.
Yeah, Yellow Beanbag, yep.
They have just brought in Nile. This is one of those things that they're going to have to sort of iron out the creases going forward. Search and Destroy is always going to be the case where if there is a better team, they will be better by quite a large margin, and that is just the case here.
A little bit more well-oiled. But hey, we'll set things just to a small break for right now. When we come back, we'll give you the layout as far as what map 3 and 4 at least will look like and what else is coming up here with the community stream. We'll be back in just a little bit. Do not go too far. More community stream of Challengers Split 2, Day 1, coming up after this. Welcome back, everybody. We're jumping into the Control Garrison map number 3, tied series 1-1 so far. And Well, it's one of those things that for 67K could not quite get things going in the search, but the respawn, very prevalent. I mean, especially playing for the objective specifically, so we'll see if that can kind of pan out here for them in a successful manner as we get through this Garrison control.
Absolutely, we're going to be kicking things off here with Train Hard now looking pretty good after that search and destroy, but can they take this map number 3, the swing game in the series? Well, straight off on the offense here, Train Hard, we know how defensively sided, this map can be. It's going to be a case of whether or not Train Hard can kind of slip the net in a sense and make their way on through, as Henry's able to pick up Nile. It's going to be 67K now, trying to defend that B zone right off the bat. But Tane and Kez are looking for these opening bloods. They can get somebody out of lights. This could be huge. And they do. Train Hard now on the point.
Yeah, this is actually really nice as far as an exit from what was essentially a really nice zone of the map from 67K. They just weren't able to find any response kills. I mean, you've got essentially what were a couple of players and a handful of lives. Whalers, I believe, was on 3 in a row. Detain trying to play outside the lines will be taken down. So the recovery from 67K is nice as they've retaken the top side of the high ground through green and the bridgeway, and now they're making their way into lights. It does bounce the final member of Train Hard off the B zone without ever giving up a second tick of progress. So that will now be depleted. And with only 30 seconds to go, 67K are looking in a very strong spot defensively. It just comes down to can Train Hard work through this dark alley and get on to convert this B zone whatsoever.
Well, we're about to see, I suppose, Train Hard now on the B zone. 67K. They've got one player in behind enemy lines. That's going to be Nile looking to put a stop to this. I don't believe he's going to pounce just yet. Saiyan is going to fall over towards square. You've got Beans also there. Detain, though, looking for all of these gunfights. Gets Semtex thrown his way. Set Detain looking to stay alive. Detain gets that kill against Beans. What a nice one to take. This should be a B zone for Train Hard. And now they're going to start to wind up for A. And they are right on this point shift. Keza and Whalers already over here. 67K going to have to be in panic mode. What a transition coming out here from Train Hard.
Yeah, they fought through this really hard. I mean, the SMGs just light things up in the middle of the map. 67K completely on the outside now. 2 ticks of progress already gone. 67K, they're going to find a way to get here quickly, and they're not going to be able to. My goodness. I mean, you got to give credit where credit is due. Keza and Detain just absolutely went mammoth mode in and around this B zone. This is essentially a 2v5 almost, where they're just kind of spinning around and finding anybody who wants to challenge, and unbelievable to take those kills, secure the zone, and then also stretch through bricks. Beautiful work by Keza and Detain.
Absolutely, it is. Beautiful stuff here from Keza and Detain. I just love that transition. Realistically, there's only so much you can say about it, but it was a beautiful transition from Train Hard. Not only did Detain do all the work effectively inside lights, but as soon as they got those kills, they made the transition over from lights straight over towards green. 67K. I think before they realized what had happened, it was done. So now Train Hard, I mean, they've done the hard part, right? They've won the offense right out of the gate. Now they have to win defense. 67K. You've got to have a good start to this round. You have to. And let's see if they're going to do as Henry's able to pick up 1, looking for a number 2 here. We'll get it. Henry right off the start, picking up 2. Train Hard at the moment now, dealing with the pressure over towards A as well. And that is a disastrous start for 67K.
Disaster, tornado, earthquake, tsunami. It's literally every bit of disastrous. I mean, you just don't want to see it happen. It's a great start still. The side of Train Hard. Detain is playing a little bit of whack-a-mole inside the fence, still finds an elimination. Good help also coming through as Henry was trying to be there for some assistance and was able to make sure that the double does come in play for both of them individually. So Train Hard now setting up their defensive zone. 38 seconds to kill off the clock, and now it's up to 67K to kind of respond to some magic that Train Hard were able to find in the late stages of their first offense.
Can they do it? I mean, there's 25 seconds or so left on the clock here for 67K. Niall's really the only player close that could actually do anything here. And the question is, can he? You've got Saiyan now joining him, but he's on the point. Looking to put a stop to this, and as Nuke J and Saiyan win their ones, this could be huge. If Keza falls here as well, Train Hard may just lose this point. No, Keza somehow stays alive, picks up Nuke J, and now this could cause a problem for 67K on the offense. Keza looks to win another one. He's going to get it, gets the 3rd as well. Surely not the 4th. Why the hell not? Whalers is there for it, though, and with 20 seconds now on the clock, that should be the dagger in this round. Train Hard, they're able to effectively retake the point, and now, well, 67K, you're in trouble. You're in trouble now in this round. I mean, you've got one more push through dark, but I don't think it's worth pushing. You may as well try and save the lives, and of course, that's what's going to happen.
Look, there are a lot of people out there that I think are going to see this 67K squad eventually play on like the mainstream or more here in the community stream, and are going to be kind of curious about some of these players. I mean, we just have not seen them play at this level. You know, granted, this is the first time we've had the elite, but this is not a squad of people that you would normally assimilate with top 8 in Europe, at least not from when Challengers started. Sand and Beans largely sat outside and around the top 16 point last year, but Nuke he kind of came through this qualification process really like after, it was almost immediately after actually, like stage 1, getting through now into stage 2. People are like, Nuke is the reason why the 67K squad is doing so well. This is the 3rd map in a row that he's had a slow start, just 3 in 10. So it's one of those things that you look at this team overall and you don't want to just harp on one player not playing well, but you need to see more consistent performance if you're 67K, if you want to do better in this elite overall, because this train hard team is really good. And you can't be going into 3v4s versus some of the best teams in Europe. It is not going to lead to success, unfortunately. So that needs to be a change immediately, whether on this map or at least as we get into map 4, in my mind.
Indeed it does. Well, we'll see if it does change, as now it's a 2-0 for a train hard. They're you're making all the progress over towards B. This has just not been a good game whatsoever from 67K. We'll see if they're able to get back into this one, but right out the gate here, Detain on the point, looking to win a 1 versus 1. Saiyan actually going to come in, has support there from a teammate also. They managed to save B, but what a Semtex coming in from Henry. Keza also there. That should be B. Bye-bye. And now it's just one more player left on A. It's going to be Nuke J. What can you do? Hasn't had the best series thus far. Will he be able to catch that one up? No, he won't. Keza going to win the gunfight. Now you also have Detain there as well. Keza with a Krig 6 on a 6 spree. He is shut down from streaks, but honestly at this point, I'm not really sure it's going to matter that much. Yeah. 67K. You've got one more push left in this. Nuke J's trying it. Henry's being a beast inside square. That's it. That should be it, GG. I mean, 67K, they're spawning close, but I don't know, man.
They would have to cleanly wipe and stall this second tick of progress. I mean, they do have enough lives to get through this minute and 50 seconds, but they need to clean this up quickly. And they do go 2 for 1. Whalers will also fall, so the retake is good, and they completely stall out that second tick of progress. So the first job is done. The second job in front of you is, can you find a second set of kills and try to hopefully kill off extra time from Train Hard's offense by getting closer to the respawn? Well, you're getting the answer live in progress. It's not going to be happening, not near. So it's going to have to come down to 6-7 again, trying once again to break through.
Yeah. Oh. That's okay. Just give me a moment then while we wait, because I'm just gonna very quickly do something. Also, I'm gonna do a new OBS Ninja link on a different browser.
Falcon!
Connection has been lost. All of the online networks are down. Biotechnology has been successfully implemented. The new era has begun. Systems operating properly. Gate number 6 is being opened. All the weapons are locked and loaded. Dystopia 2077 is starting now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get ready.
Turn around, I can't see your face. Tell me, where did you go? Was it something I did, something I said that made it all fall down? Baby, I need to know, 'cause I'm losing my faith. And the more that I give, the less I get. So tell me we can save this. Where's my happy ending? Can't go on pretending anymore. But always said that love takes work. It's been a bumpy ride. I know how hard you tried. But holding on just makes it worse. It's best to walk away if it's our time to say goodbye. a bumpy ride. I know how hard you tried, but holding on just makes it worse. It's best to walk away if it's our time to say goodbye. Goodbye. I've been holding on forever, waiting for the rain to come. Who am I to just surrender? I'm not holding back for anyone.
Alright, welcome back. Sorry for the delay. Had a couple of PC internet issues, but we're good to go. It's going to be Garrison here for map number 4, the second hard point. After Train Hard, we're able to find a very clean and polished 3-0 on the control. And it looks like we will actually get a little bit maybe of a side swap here, which is fine. It gives us time to kind of break things down because so far, Brody, it really does feel like Train Hard's polish is really being the main factor of why they found themselves advantages, not just on that prior control, but more specifically, maybe even was that Moscow search and destroy.
Yeah, I think it's funny, right? Because we were coming into this series asking questions of both teams, really, right?
Yeah.
I think for Train Hard, the big question for them, and it's sort of an existential issue. If anything, it's like, what are Train Hard without Hydra? That is, I think, the big question
Big
for Train Hard
question, for
coming into the
sure.
series, coming into stage 2 generally. For 67K, it's can we prove that we deserve to be in stage 2? Can we upset some of these teams? And I think we've got some mixed answers so far from this series for both of those questions. You know,
Yeah.
we've seen some real highlights coming out of Train Hard. Their hard point, admittedly, does look very shaky. They let that map number 1 go to 67K. I think it was an early lead that they couldn't really get back, but they did have their moments. And I think for 67K, we're still starting to see some of these weaknesses, you know, coming out in the search and destroy, and especially in that control,
Agreed.
where I think there are just holes in their gameplay at the moment that need to be covered up. I will say I don't think this is a knock on 67K at all. They are still even though that three out of the 4 players have been playing together with Beanbag previously, I think this is still really their time to improve, and they have some space really to improve on those issues. I don't think it's a drastic, we need to fix them straight away. They're glaring holes in their gameplay.
Yeah, and I never like to go to this artificial storyline of, hey, first time big stage, are there nerves? I hate to go down that path, but when you look at some of the more recent factors to the game itself of, okay, no more M4,
Mhm.
even in that last control, for the side of Trainhard, it was 3 SMGs, 1 AR, which is not atypical for this map, even during the prior meta. But you even saw Nuke not feeling comfortable, swapped over to a second AR for the side of 67K by round 3 because he just was not able to find any eliminations. So I think when you combine a lot of those external pressures of different meta, big stage, very good team you're playing up against, recently formed roster for us, those things can compound, and that pressure can sometimes over surmount you a little bit. And I feel like we've gotten a little bit of that from Nuke. Again, I hate to go down that because it's such an artificial storyline, but he has not had 3 starts that are all that great for him on either of these 3 maps. So where am I going with this? Going into this Garrison hardpoint, I want to see Nuke have a great start. It doesn't have to be an incredible one. Just go kill for kill, go even overall, find a way to open up some space to make plays for your team. Because let's be honest, even though the first rotation in Moscow hardpoint was not a great one for him, he was still one of the guys that was trying to get on to insert into plays for rotation, get onto the hardpoint, stuff like that. So I want to see that come through. And well, it looks like we will have to go back and continue to talk through this storyline as we're going to have another reset of this lobby.
Yeah, I think, you know, you talk about the fact that sort of, you know, you don't want to talk about sort of the nerves in the first time big stage
Yeah,
element here for
it's
players
just
like Beans and Nuke J.
yeah,
I
right.
don't think it's so much that. I think if you look at the flip side of this, right, you have very experienced players on Train Hard, right? And I think that is, you know, you can't beat around the bush. Although you have Niall on this team and arguably Sayan as well, who has been around the block for a few years now, albeit not at this level. I think this that if you compare the experience on these teams, they are in a different ballpark entirely.
Right. Agreed.
And you know, if you find yourself in a situation where maybe you're down in this particular situation, right? You're 2-1 down in the series, your back's up against the wall. You know, you might find your head not in the best space if you're a team like 67K versus
Right.
a team like Train Hard.
It's it's one of those things that, 67K is starting to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
But at the same point, you don't just start from the bottom then are instantly at the top. You're going to go through growing pains. It's just the way that it goes. And if you can solve some of those and resolve them, maybe even immediately after playing up against what I think a lot of people would look at this Train Hard roster and sit there and say that they should be a playoff team. When it comes
Hmm.
down to what they have component wise, just comes down to can they actually win the matches required? Because I feel like this split of the EU challengers is going to be a little bit more difficult than the first one, which is hard to say because we had last day change ups in a major way, Singularity clutching up and sending House Tarth home. But I don't think you're going to have a Team 3G esque performance with the rosters that we have involved with Europe this year, or this split rather. That's my big thing. And this would be
Hmm.
probably the team that you would look at to maybe fall into that kind of fall out of that form. But I just don't see them being in that position because, like you mentioned, players like Sainer have been great in the past. I mean, he played with players like Sean Snake. They were always sitting around top 16 last year. Niall, we already know his story in and out. It just comes down to, will these younger players in Beans and Nuke really be able to handle playing up against some of the top players in their region, I think.
I think the context is very different as well. I will say that much. I think if you compare stage 2 to stage 1, stage 2 is an entirely different setting, right? Stage 2 is a number of these teams are reeling from roster changes, whether or not their decision. Stage 1 was we had 7 teams that could take maps off each other on their best day, and Team 3G, who are kind of just there, which, you know, I do love Team 3G from last season. They're some of the nicest guys here in Europe, but that is just the reality of the situation I think they found themselves in. Whereas this time around, I think for teams like 67K and Elite 2, there is more of a chance of them coming out and surprising rosters like your Trainhards, like your Passions, simply because of the reason that these rosters are either newly put together or they're reeling from roster changes. But in my mind, you have to do that early on, because the longer you take it, you know, you go into week number 2, for example, where maybe these teams have had a little bit more time to settle in. I think it's going to be much harder to take maps off these rosters. You know, even teams like Connect 4, who haven't maybe had the best form recently.
Good point.
There are so many opportunities for these teams coming in here as the underdogs to really upset some of the teams who have maybe entrenched themselves in Challengers Elite. It's going to be a very different stage 2, that much is for sure.
I mean, just to kind of hit on that, Elite 2, the team, not the stage that we're in, just beat Connect 4. So it was a 3-1 overall. So
it was 3-1?
It was 3-1. Yeah. So to your point, very true. And then beyond that, Passion was up 2-0 versus Rams. Rams have now won map 3 and map 4, sending it to potentially a reverse sweep that's happening, I believe, on the main stream right now. But we're ready to go. We're jumping in. No more headaches or worries. Third time being the charm, and it's going to be up to 67K to try to extend this to a map 5 with a win here on Garrison Hardpoint.
Absolutely, it is. We're getting into Garrison Hardpoint here. It's going to be super interesting to see sort of how the sub players of Trainhard really find their way into this one. We talk about the fact that they whipped out 3 SMGs on that last map. Well, I'm expecting that to happen here once again, as right off the bat, we're seeing the fight for a P1. 67K, interestingly enough, putting a lot of emphasis over towards that green control. Niall, the only player currently on this Hardpoint, looking to get some control. If he gets this kill onto Keza, well, that's a good start here for 67K.
Love it. And one of the things that we saw from the Garrison control was Trainhard's SMGs were dominating on the rotations between the offensive zones of the A and B point, and that could still exist here on this hard point, where that middle of the map is where a lot of the rotations will be happening through. So really great start, Niall, for 3. Saiyan and Beans just happy to be existing on the hard point for now. Niall's actually found a 4th elimination, and now as 7K tries to move across the map, there might be an opportunity for a play for early streaks that they could kind of bait around and help Niall get these last couple of kills. Never mind. Niall is able to find the kill, shut down the potential streaks, and now it's Trainhard inside the second hard point.
Big stop there for a Trainhard, making sure that 67K do not come out swinging here, as Trainhard at the moment now in control of this P2. 67K have a chance to push this through bricks. Saying, looking at go on the outside. Henry, though, with the cover from top satellite, ensuring that Trainhard do maintain control of this point and control of green as well. And this is big for Trainhard. They're on the better side of the map. If they can hold this time and the rotation too, this would be a good opportunity for them to get back in. Whalers now inside the hard point, also there with Keza, picking up a couple of these gunfights. It's now just one player left up. Whalers wins it, and now 67K not in the best position here, Shift.
Yeah, really good lockdown, not just from Whalers playing his life, but the help from up top has been really electric from the side of Trainhard's SMGs. Now, granted, they will eventually get pushed back far enough to allow a late break, but it's just that, a late break. So 67K will tie this game up, and it just comes down to, can they find a way to get in towards this third hard point? Henry watching over through this green ammunition area, doing very well to lock down the hangars, and then the play through mid also shut down by Detain. So really good look so far for the first 20 seconds for Trainhard, but 67K are posturing for a hit over through Darkened Tools.
Trainhard at the moment looking for this hold. 67K now ready for this hit. Niall at the front, what can you do? Apparently not that much, as Detain ends up winning that 1v1, and the rest probably going Trainhard's way. Also, I really like this play from Keza, pushing into Dark, causing all sorts of havoc for 67K. Surely not the third. No, it's not. Beans is going to get shot through the wall, though. Lovely knowledge there from Detain as Trainhard hold on to all this time. And what a beautiful rotation that is there. 15 seconds left here, Shift. Trainhard, they look pretty good.
And you're on 5 in a row for Detain. opportunity for him to start working for some streaks in the early stages of this hard point. This comes down to, at what point do you leave this hard point to search for those kills? Because let's be honest, the exit from 3 going over to 4 can be very dangerous. And you can see Detain is waiting for Henry to make the first move. Can he play for this trade? Tried to, but will instead value his life more. And what in the ragdoll effect is that arm? I'm so sorry. It just like right arm just went straight up to the sky after he died like in slow form. That was really funny.
Oh, dearie me. Well, train hard at the moment. They've got themselves a small lead here. Shift 67k though. Looking to get the majority of this time. It would be a good time for them to get to make sure they even out this game. Nuke J going to trade things out, and 67k going to get the majority kills as we look towards the new spawns here. Train hard. Going to get a split. Going to have Detain and Keza trying to come in from behind. Now it's just Keza. Henry also now coming through the mid-map and looking to win some fights. Do enough here, Train hard, to remove 67k from the hard point. And now look at these spawns here, Shift. It's going to be 67k spawning all the way in back artillery. And that next rotation is coming in any second.
Yeah, this has to be clean right now for 67k. The 5th hard point will open, and you will have to fight through the middle of the map. But if you can do this cleanly, you can essentially get to a point where maybe you can make life difficult for Trainhard coming out of their spawn. But it's taking a little bit longer than you'd normally like to see, but they are being very diligent about how they want to approach this. Whaler's locking things down over the sat truck, also has Detain here with them. Saiyan trying to chase them both down. Oh, no! Oh, my turn on, no chance. Head to the bad.
Saying you cannot let that happen. You just cannot let that happen, my friend. We caught that one in 4K as well. Or 900p, whatever the stream quality is at the moment, but train hard at the moment. 40 seconds or so in the lead, 67k. They're back in control of the hill. Nuke J has an important one to win. Unfortunately, isn't able to do so. And now this last 15 seconds could well be train hard's here. Beans gets an important kill onto Keza, though. Shouldn't be a problem for Train Hard as they pick up that time once again. And now we look over towards the rotation. It's 67k in. They got quite a lot of time on this last time around. Will Train Hard let that happen again? Well, the answer looks like it's no at the moment. Henry opens up with another kill. There you go, Whalers with a lovely Semtex Detain to finish off the 4. The quartet is Train Hard's, and now 67k spawning out.
Look, this SMG line for Train Hard is absolutely terrifying. We talked about how Eric Boom was playing with this roster. It didn't really quite work out for them, and you just made your SMG line that much stronger. I mean, Keza, Henry, and Detain, that's the 3 SMGs you're running in this meta. Like, absolutely, you're going to be feeling very good about that if you're a Train Hard fan. But, you know, on the other side of things, 67k have really picked up, you know, what they're kind of being able to put into the kill potential of this squad. I mean, you're getting a much better round from Nuke and Beans overall here, and Saiyan has continued to be very impressive with this SMG. The problem has just been these kills have not amounted for a ton of time in the hard point as of yet. And I say that specifically because on this rotation, if Saiyan can win maybe one more with Beans helping, they can look at a really nice exit from the first hard point over to the initial of the second.
This is big time for 67k to get, right? You lose this rotation, Train Hard will put you in a world of hurt. So 67k, they need to win this rotation. And Nile gets 2 huge gunfights on rotation. What is that snap from Nile? Proving he still has it, even with this the lack of the muzzle break or Spetsnaz compensator on the AK-74U. And now Train Hard, well, they got to try and break in through bricks, and Detain picks up 2, just as I hype up Nile there. Train Hard, I mean, they've got a Detain on their team. They look pretty good here, Shift.
Look, great. This is exactly what the doctor ordered, I would say, overall. I mean, initially for 67k, because, hey, you won a nice rotation from the first hard point over to the second. But the breaks, we talked about it in Moscow a lot. Train Hard breaking these hard points has been so clean, so convincing, and that will once again hold true as 67k will be forced to make the difficult decision of having to chalk this back scrap time. And while they don't even get the exit kills from this push through from Train Hard up top, this is going to lead to a very dangerous moment in this match where if Train Hard can win this rotation to 3, they might just win the game.
Absolutely could hit, and it's Train Hard round the back line. This is a problem for 67k. You gotta deal with the infestation around the back. Get your rat poison out, folks, because 67k, you are gonna need it. Nile gonna win one outside tools though, and now they face a fight on 2 fronts. They gotta deal with the players inside the back. Henry's the last man standing, but hasn't been sniffed out. Will still stay alive. Keza wins one around the front, and now it's just Nile here at the front of the hard point. The teammates spawning in from behind, so there will be help soon, but not quick enough as Nile is removed from the hard point. 67k, worth for a second, no longer earning time. Train Hard not giving this one up, but 67k here, Saiyan wins 2 huge gunfights around the front, remove Train Hard from the hill. And now with 20 seconds left, you should see Train Hard now focus more on the rotation.
It's moments like that that I get really impressed with the 67K roster. I mean, that is chaos all the way throughout that initial battle for the third hard point, and they stay controlled, they stay diligent, and they try to help each other as much as humanly possible. It can be difficult to do. I know it sounds easy to say out loud, but to do it in practice without having things like X-ray and a mini-map that's showing where everybody is, it's difficult to do, and they finesse that very beautifully. Now, the problem, again, it continues to unfold because you have to make up an extra 60 seconds somewhere, and you're still trying to exit from this third hard point. So required for 67K is to get out and then eventually try to find a way to retake this middle of the map. A couple of decent exchanges, but in the end, it still favors Trainhard as they step right back into the fourth hard point.
Does indeed. Trainhard, they just need 25 seconds here, Shift. Can they get it? Whaler's able to pick up one. Whaler's able to pick up two. Henry follows up with two of his own. Henry, why the heck not? And Trainhard should be able to close out this map now. 67K, you've got one more push left in. You do it. Well, I guess we're about to find out. Henry looking for it. Looking left, right. Not going to be good night just yet as Niall picks up two. 67K still in for this last 10 seconds of time. But here's the big thing here, Shift. Trainhard, they've got the rotation pretty much locked in. 67K, they've got one player outside lights. That's going to be saying he is able to push on through as Nuke J picks up one. 67K have somehow managed to disrupt the rotation from Trainhard. They're focused so much on green control that 67K here are now inside the hard point, and Trainhard got to break in.
Yeah, that's a south to north split where 67K know where Trainhard are going to be spawning at the end of that fourth hard point, so they're able to essentially contest against this rotation. They do so beautifully. But the problem is now that the recovery is here for Trainhard, they will get back into the hill. Last chance for 67K to touch will have to be through Cobble. Saying good for one, but not a second. Should lead to the game being over depending on when Whalers wants to step into the hill, but no, not yet. So 67K deal with him, and they put themselves right back in. But you got to be perfect through the rest of this scrap time and the initial setup for the first hard point if you want to make a dramatic comeback.
It's just so hard. This is so hard to get back in. You can't have any breaks coming through. There it is, the final one. Trainhard, that SMG trio with the staunch AR play of Whalers. It is just so hard to break down. And, well, I mean, Trainhard, they make a good case to proving that they are just as good of a team as they were in stage one here, Shift. They look very good there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I still have to give credit over to 67K for a roster that is recently put together with, again, names on the roster overall that, and I think generally speaking, as favorably as some of the teams that they're going to be playing up against here in this EU split number 2, but they stay controlled and very comprised in chaos around the third hard point. They do a really nice job exiting from 4, knowing where the Trainhard spawns are going to be in front of that fifth hard point, to make sure they can't just walk immediately onto the fifth hill. That's not easy to do. It's a very difficult rotation to make, and they do it beautifully. It just comes down to there wasn't enough clock that they could really play for. I mean, Trainhard's SMGs, they dominated in the garrison control through that middle of the map. That was the same storyline through our first rotation set of hills as well, where the SMGs just dominated the break on P2. They come flying out of top green. They get a really good look at that third hard point, and then the same kind of existed as they go from right to left across the map as well. Really good stuff from Trainhard, but I will say this much, 67K gave themselves some really good looks in the hard points overall. And I think if they can maybe go back to the lab, figure out some set plays they want to try to work out on search and destroy, and obviously have a pretty lengthy conversation about what they need to do on control, this is a team that can still surprise not just teams, but maybe some of the big dogs that are currently out there that we figure in this second split for the EU Challenger scene.
Absolutely, it was. Well, let's take a look at our map set for this series then, if it is ready, and to show you guys exactly how it all went down. Of course, you guys can see it right now. I mean, that first hard point, it wasn't a bad performance from 67K whatsoever, but I mean, from map number 2 onwards, it was just Trainhard. They jumped in the driver's seat and they took 67K for a ride. It was not nice in the search and destroy and the control whatsoever. The hard point was a good effort from 67K, I will say really that much, but they got edged out, and that was it for me. So I'm impressed. I'm thoroughly impressed with this Trainhard roster. You know, we were talking about sort of how they're going to look with this sort of new roster with Detain instead of Hydra, and I'll tell you what, Shift, they have impressed me.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really pleased overall with what we saw here. Now, that said, I think that there's a lot that needs to be cleaned up on. You know, overall, not just in the hard point, even the one that they won, there were still moments that I think they missed out on opportunities, but you're just hoping that I think at the end of the day, and by the end of this split, that players that have not been into this level before are going to be major competitors. So not to say they're not already, but you need to be able to establish that firmly into the minds of the audience that largely watches, and then also the player base that you're contesting up against. If people are looking at you saying that these guys are a walkover, you don't want to be sitting in that position. So I think there's a lot to still be shown for this 67K roster, but overall, Train Hard, really, really clean performance. Definitely excited to see, well, this, again, like you mentioned, relatively recently put together group of 4 with that 4th player specifically, how they fare throughout the rest of this first week, because they could start this week off on a very hot foot and potentially be, again, one of those top teams very early on in the standings for this second split.
Absolutely, they could. 67K, though, they did look pretty good, and we're excited to see what they're able to do again. I believe we'll throw it to a quick break then. We have a second series coming very soon, guys. I believe it's going to be Passion versus Train Hard. We're sticking with this new Train Hard lineup, and we're very excited to see how they're able to perform. Detain goes up against his old teammates here in Bids and Denza. It's going to be a good one. Trust me, you guys do not want to miss it. But we'll be right back after this break.
Usually by now I feel a shiver and I'm getting cold feet, but that's the old me. Oh, what it's like to be human, what it's like to feel love like this in a place like this. I feel human, I feel human, I feel
Faded. About now is the time when I go a little crazy. Can't rest. Coming in. It's about the time that I struggle to say it, just say it, all alone here in the crowd. In my head I'm screaming out. Is this everything that I have ever wanted? 'Cause I think I lost it, Will this ever end? 'Cause right now I'm haunted, and I think I lost it, that I struggle to say it, just say it, all alone here in the crowd. In my head I'm screaming out. Is this everything that I
the block. He's in love with the girl that time forgot. She just sheds her ears. She's falling too far with something else scars. Won't let it taste her tears. She's falling too far. The girl that time forgot. Wasted moments fall our potential at torment. An angel in disguise, but he can see her Aberdeen heart, London eyes, Glasgow bones. She's a whistle in the catacombs, a paradox. Oh.
He's in love with the statue in the marble block. He's in love with the girl that time forgot.
She just sheds her ears. She's falling too far with salt in her scars. Won't let it taste her tears. She's falling too far. The girl that time You let it go, catacombs. You let it go. You let it go, catacombs. You let it go. You let it go, catacombs. You let it go. You let it go, catacombs. You let it go. The girl that time forgot. She
Welcome back, everybody, to the Challengers Elite community broadcast here for Stage 2 in Europe. My name's Infinity. I'm joined by IHOLDSHIFT for this one. And Alan, we have a heck of a game on our hands here. Two teams coming just hot off a win in their first round of matches here in Stage 2. It's going to be Passion going head-to-head with Trainhard.
You know, okay, so we saw Trainhard. They played up against 67K. Weird start to the Moscow Hardpoint, very tight game, and then from there on out, it was pretty much all Trainhard all the way through. But the match that we did not get a chance to see was on the mainstream. Passion was playing up against Rams, and after a 2-0 start for the side of Passion, Rams was able to win map 3, able to win map 4, and would go to a map 5 provincial reverse sweep. We get all the way to round 11, which Passion was able to win. So they avoid being reverse swept by one of our grand finalists from last split overall, and arguably up until maybe even that point specifically, one of the best teams in Challengers, not just in Europe, but in Challengers. So we got a really interesting one here because not only are we coming off with both teams very successful, as you mentioned, both teams now 1-0, but for Passion, they might just be one of the big top favorites for what's happening this split. And I think beyond that, you know, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the immediate storylines about how a lot of the players that are in this lobby were once at one point in time former teammates.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest one here to talk about is going to be Detain, right? I mean, he has had a tumultuous season with Singularity. That much is abundantly clear. The fact of the matter is, I mean, what Singularity? They've had some problems this season. Of course, they're no longer a roster.
Right.
Full stop. Right? Singularity are no longer in Call of Duty at the moment. But the team anyway. They were going to drop Detain, and they did it. If you remember, you know, cast your minds back to early Stage 1, they did end up dropping Detain for 3 days, I believe it was. They dropped him for a chain, and then we all had that drama. They brought Detain back, and then, of course, when Singularity continued to have problems, they ended up dropping Detain again, this time for 0. I think, you know, there's a chip on the shoulder really for Detain, although there might not be much love lost between these two teams. I think, you know, if anything, even if you still got on well with the team, you want to prove that you're in a much better position than them. So this is going to be very interesting, I think, for both rosters here to really see who comes off better of that particular engagement.
And what a map to start us off on here as well, is we're going to be getting the Garrison for the first overall hardpoint, of which, when we were talking about Garrison prior, for the side of Trainhard, their SMG line was dominating. They looked great on rotation, not just on the hard point, but even on the control. Now, that's the reason why I bring that up, is we kind of have a little bit of a lobby kind of just disconnected on us. If we take a look over the map set overall, that would be map 1 and map 3. Garrison hardpoint, Garrison control. So it's very favorable, I think, from what we just saw from Trainhard in their prior series. Now, that said, Miami will be our second search and destroy. That was supposed to be and would have been map 5 for our prior set between Trainhard and 67K, but obviously it was not required. So it's kind of hard to specifically say who picked what, who vetoed what, but we do know the results of what happened on Garrison for both the respawn modes just against 67K, and Trainhard looked good. So I would need to see here and say that, okay, Passion need to be able to stop this SMG line if they want to have a chance at kind of taking one of these 2 respawn maps away.
I mean, generally as well, I mean, we look at the strengths of this Trainhard roster, albeit they had Hydra in Stage 1. I think one of their biggest strengths was control. So that is going to be super interesting to see sort of whether or not Trainhard continue to dominate. I mean, they did 3-0 on Garrison control in that first series versus 67K, although I would suggest that just on paper alone, 67K and this Passion lineup are 2 very different beasts. So
very much so.
We shall see whether or not they'll have an easy ride in the control. That being said, I believe our first map is ready to get underway. It's going to be Garrison Hardpoint to kick things off. This is going to be a battle of the SMG players. I am so excited to get into this one, Shift. It is just going to be absolutely insane. Of course, both of these two teams coming into this matchup 1-0. So looking to go flawless at the end of day number 1, sorry. We'll see who comes out on top. Getting on board here straight off the bat with this Trainhard lineup. We're going to kick on things with Detain, one of those SMG players, the newest addition to this Trainhard lineup, to see what he can do. Going to jump straight up here onto this P1 hill. Man also getting control from a bit far out. But for now, it looks to be a contest situation for both of these two teams. Detain looks like he's lagging a little bit here, but going to be first couple of seconds here going the way of Passion.
Yeah, and it's just going to be really interesting, I think, with the meta swap up as well. You know, you have to feel like with EU specifically not using the QBZ, it's likely going to be 1 Krig, 3 SMGs. So I would figure we're going to be seeing a lot of Garrison Hardpoint unless the GAs kind of change around a little bit, in which there would be 2 ARs. Because in the current moment, with a lot of, I feel like, these European teams right now in this split, they are very heavy SMG stacked with their rosters at the moment. So, you know, that's I think especially good news for Passion, because it always felt weird to see Bids kind of running that AR flex at the beginning of the year. And now that he can kind of be afforded to go back to an SMG, you're hoping that will lead to success for this Passion squad overall.
Absolutely, you are. Well, what a start Hixie, one of the SMGs for Passion, is having at the moment. 5 and 1, is able to get a couple of kills here over towards this rotation as Passion look to gain control of this hard point. We'll see what Trainhard are able to do here, as they currently do have those spawns for that inevitable rotation, but they're going to need to push in through behind from Bricks, and Wee Man's going to shut it down. He's now 6 and 1. What a hell of a start for him. Bid's also now starting to heat up here. This is a great showing from Passion on this hard point, but Henry loses a gunfight up front. Whalers is also there. Wee Man looking to continue this streak. He's now on 4, looking for number 5. He will get it. Just one more player, and it will be a 6 spree with Wee Man. What is going on? Right out of the gate here, a 6 spree for the main AR of this Passion lineup. Now looking to work towards streaks. What is my English at the moment? He's looking to work towards streaks, and now it's Trainhard looking for this rotation.
Such an impressive just kind of like clinic that Wee Man's putting on as he gets number 7 for the artillery strike, but he wasn't initially a part of that defense for Passion. It was SMGs on the point and Wee Man watching the middle of the map, and then once the contest starts to come through, he's forced to have to make a play, and boy does he. It's not often you see that happen with the Krig just kind of playing immediately into the second hard point, but he is not losing a gunfight, it feels like, ever right now. 13 and 2, just through 2 hard points and some change, and he's single-handedly the reason that Passion are up by 50 points right now.
He absolutely is. It is a massive advantage having Wee Man on your roster. He has proven his worth over the course of this season, be it on the House Task roster or here now on this Passion team. And, well, we'll see if he's able to continue his hot streak, but it's going to be Denza now starting to fire up here for Passion on a 3 spree, looking over towards this rotation. If he can really get the ball rolling, Trainhard may just find themselves in a world of pain, even more so than they currently are in. And again, all of the kills are going Passion's way here. Shift, it's insane. I mean, Trainhard, they're getting 1 every so often or so, but Passion, they are just having such a good spree. They're having the final say in pretty much every single engagement. And now, again, we look over towards the rotation. It's Passion here. This just simply should not be happening. Trainhard, you gotta find a way in, and they're readying themselves for a hit. Keza and Henry looking to go through plat. And there you go, Hixie is going to be able to pick up 1. Passion still have some presence over here, but this is a big gunfight for Detain to win, and he does. Trainhard, you need to start picking things up now.
And they've got an exit from this third hard point that will allow them to continue to contest this middle of the map, which is the most important part about trying to get your way over towards not just this 4th hill, but in the next 25 seconds, you also need to find a way to work over towards the front of the 5th hard point. And you have to do that largely by trying to get in position through these tanks and up top towards green, which is exactly what Detain wants to do. Wants to sit here to contest, finds the kill, and then he knows immediately, okay, that's the player up top of green. Let me try to take this over. But Denza snaps up top to get the 2nd kill, and Passion, they're right back into the hard point and now up 100 points. Not great news for Trainhard whatsoever.
And what do you even do here, Shift, right? I mean, what do you do if you're Trainhard to find your way back into this game?
At this point in time, you just have to try to get to a position right here with these spawns on the left and wait. Try to lock that down, get into mid towards Cobble, contest this middle of the map where your SMGs have been so successful in the past, and get a good look at a hard point. They have not had a good solid look at a hard point yet, outside of really that second one that we had in the first rotation. But again, it would just immediately shut down by Wee Man. You can't let those things exist in your mind. You have to essentially just get yourself into position, clear the power plays up, get in to try to work this with numbers, and they're doing that beautifully right now.
Yeah, absolutely are. Passion just winning all these crucial one-on-ones. Wee Man once again showing why this Krig 6 is his. It's a Krig 6 world, and Wee Man is absolutely living in it at the moment. Passion are having one hell of a game here of Call of Duty, and Trainhard, well, you got to find your way back in sooner rather than later. Again, you are down by 110 points or so here. That's quick maths for you folks at home. Trainhard, well, got to win these rotational battles, and they do. Henry is going to pick up 2. Keza now also picking up 1. Trainhard going to be first lookers onto this hard point. Passion, though, you got to find... I mean, to be fair, you don't have to find anything at the moment. If you're a Passion, you can give up this time if you really want to, but why the hell would you? Passion now looking to find their way on in. It's going to be Bids and Wee Man. The players close enough here to, at the very least, get a contest in as Trainhard now going to start to give up this time. Hixie, he's going to fall Passion now into this hard point. Keza is actually going to get a look in, at the very least, to contest this time. But for Passion here, okay, Keza. Okay, Keza. Wailers is going to finish off that engagement. This last 25 seconds or so is still being contested by Passion.
Look how circling these SMGs are starting to be for Trainhard through that 5th hard point now into the 1st. You're even getting it from Henry as he continues to try to challenge this jump up ledge. And that's all good news, because if you can stall this middle of the map rotation for Passion, you should be able to get over to the 2nd hard point with relative ease. Now, the problem is that Detain has to play his life, so he doesn't see how many members for Passion have made their way up through the bridge, and that's going to allow Passion to go from scrap time on P1 into the initial here on the SAT truck. It needs to be a break for the side of Trainhard. They do find one on the opening. Henry, though, by himself, really needs to play his life, but decides instead to take a challenge. That allows Bids to double down, and now for Passion, they should have the numbers to continue to contest from this, even though Trainhard still has the spawns in the back.
You've just got so much room to breathe if you're Passion at the moment. Here comes a streak, though, from Weeman, the ones he earned earlier on. We're seeing him here in Europe now. And Trainhard, you can't afford to let this time go. Weeman picks up one. He isn't going to get that second. Trainhard able to find their way in for the last 25 seconds or so of time. And Passion, well, they're not going to be silly enough to push this. They're going to focus solely on this rotation as we move our way over. Henry looking to make his way out over towards square. Does get some shots into Denza. Unfortunately, though, is going to fall. And this is yet again another big rotation. Trainhard, who've managed to find themselves quite a big amount of time, but not really enough to be safe in this game just yet. Passion, their lead, is still really dominating here. And we'll see. Can Trainhard find their way in? Denza ends up with that first blood. Hixie follows up with another one. And now, Passion, they should start earning some more time here on.
Yeah, this is become beyond danger zone for the side of Trainhard, with them not being able to contest that rotation as they try to make their way in towards that initial time for the 3rd hard point. So as they're stacked up mid-map through tools and over towards the truck, they need to win some gunfights here, try to block these spawns for Passion, which they very well may have. Not yet. Bids is still able to spawn in one more time. So the pressure is decent for Trainhard, but not good enough to block spawns. And that will mean that Passion should get over the 200 point mark here sooner rather than later.
He should do. Well, there it is. Bids now on 2. It's going to be traded out here as Henry's able to find his way into the hard point. Denza going to fall in from behind as Trainhard do end up spawning back generators. But this is just such a mountain that you got to climb here if you're Trainhard. Have you brought the right climbing equipment? That's the question. Right now, down by about 100 points. Just looking for every single fight, every single scrap of time you can possibly get. But when Weeman has this Krig 6 in hand, it is a horrible thing to go up against. Inside the hard point, able to pick up yet another one. Passion now continuing to climb in terms of scoreline. Trainhard, you got to find your way in pretty much now.
Yeah, this has to be, I mean, perfect rotation from 4 to 5 to even have a chance at even inserting the word comeback into the conversation. And Weeman has just been so good. I mean, him and Denza have really largely played off one another in a brilliant way. Of, okay, where are you watching? All right, sweet. I'll go challenge the other angle. And collectively between the two of them, they have done so much work around the map. And on the other side, you're looking at the stat lines, and you wouldn't sit there and say that, oh, Trainhard are about to be a 100-point club, because they're also playing collectively well. It's just been the fact that everything around the objective has been dominated by Weeman starting to watch over it and then communicating with players like Denza to kind of finesse their life in and around the hard point. It's been beautiful so far for Passion throughout just about every single hard point we've had.
It has indeed. They have, I think, slowed up here, but I don't think it really matters at this point. They are so far ahead. They should be able to finish it relatively soon. But hey, never say never. Garrison hardpoints have gone the way of teams before when they're 100 points or so down, but it does need to be perfect hardpoint coming out from Trainhard. And to be fair, they do actually end up getting the first few kills here. Shift. So hey, isn't out of the realms of possibility just yet. But Kez are able to pick up 2 in from behind. Passion, I mean, you only need one good break to get in here, surely, and there's one player close by. Can they do it? Bids, he's the last player left up. No, he cannot.
Nice. Well, this is actually really good from Keza. Him being able to get that little collateral double down right in front of the spawn has kept Passion spawning bottom left side of the minimap, which is not where you want to be. And with 15 seconds left, this is a correct rotation from Trainhard. Back up just a little bit, see if we can maybe deny them an opportunity to get up top towards green. And then beyond that, just make sure we're more heavily defensively stacked for what will eventually be this first hard point. Keza on 6 is still also one away from getting streaked. Good help from Henry. And that's going to allow them an opportunity to get over the 150 marks. This one still, I would say, out of the realm of large probability, but the word comeback can actually now be used a little bit more loosely as they had a really solid 4 to 5 exchange.
Can Trainhard get back into this one? 20 seconds is all that Passion needs. The first couple of gunfights do go their way. You should see Wee Man advance up into lights here as Trainhard. Now it is go time. Here comes a streak, actually. Don't know who that is from, but for Passion, you just need 11 seconds or so to close out this game. You're kind of in cruise control at this point as Wee Man and Bids able to pick up those last couple of kills. Detain the last player who could realistically do anything for Trainhard. They could still touch this point, but you kind of just have to hit the ground running here, and they actually will do. They'll get a couple of players outside the point. It's not the end of the world for Trainhard just yet. Passion still looking for this last 5 seconds of time. They will no longer get it here. We have to look over towards the rotation towards the next hill. There is a player over there, however. Hixie in the prime position to close out this game. 1 second left, and Passion, they did take a while to do it there, Shift. I mean, I'm not going to say we were getting a little bit sweaty, but I mean, they gave Trainhard a little bit of breathing room.
And look, that's just, I think, again, to the credit of Trainhard, that first rotation of Hardpoints, they just lost a couple of they lost in just a couple of really unfortunate moments. Things like on a break attempt, they get flanked from behind and pinched from behind. On a rotation, someone catches them a little bit off guard, so they're late to actually seeing the initial time of a hardpoint that normally you would figure they would get a setup for. Those couple of foils that Passion were able to, be fair, establish by winning those kind of key moments allows them a chance to build up that lead. Because like I had mentioned throughout that second rotation, you look at the KD ratios between everyone on Trainhard, you never would have figured it was almost a 100-point game at one point in time, let alone the fact that it was like 210 to 97. They were playing good hardpoint. It just came down to the moments they needed to win. They weren't finding the favor enough in the trades or on the timings to get to a point where they actually had a setup. The one time they did was between the fourth hardpoint and the fifth hardpoint in our second set of hills, and that's where they're able to put together essentially 80 straight points. So it just kind of goes to show that those little moments on maps like Garrison where you're sitting there saying that, hey, we're doing just fine, let's go ahead and rotate, but you get caught off guard by that one play, it leads to these moments that this map can get a little bit out of hand because of the way that the hills move between location to location and how the spawns are kind of utilized while also doing that. So not bad for Trainhard to make it a much more respectable scoreline, but again, Passion, they played lights out, essentially full first rotation, and then 2 hills after that. They looked really good in the first rotation and a half.
Yeah, it is just so hard. You know, we've discussed this so much to death, effectively, about Hardpoint. When you have such a huge lead, you know, it only ever happens, 5% of the time where you can actually come back from a lead like that. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Wee Man, he came out the gate swinging. His Krieg 6 was firing different bullets. That much is for sure. He was like, what, 7? I want to say he started out something silly like 17 or 3 or something. It was something crazy like that. He was on one. That much is for sure. And when you have players getting into that sort of swing, when you're in it, when you're in the zone, right, it's just so hard to take somebody down like that. And it is just one of those classic cases of Hardpoint where a team A, they get 100-point or so lead, and then team B, you just cannot come back from that, especially in a map as punishing like Garrison Hardpoint. So map number 1 does go their way. Let's take a look at our map set for the series if we can, to show you guys what the remainder of this series will end out looking like. Miami Search and Destroy is up next, followed by a Garrison Control, at the very least a double raid to close us out. But let's focus on that Miami for a second here in Search and Destroy. New meta, are we going to see anything different for this map set?
I think, you know, for Miami in specific, you're likely going to see at least 2 ARs. I would not be surprised if there were some set plays to see a third one in the mix as well, especially now that there's no more M4s and you're going to be taking essentially Krieg v. Krieg battles at long range, either through the middle of the map or over towards A specifically. I feel like that would not be uncommon to see triple ARs being pulled out from the defense, or I guess from that matter, from the offensive standpoint as well, because you could just essentially play for information and then you play for picks offensively, kind of in the same form that the defense would. And with that also in mind, you got to keep in the back of our minds here that over the last month and a half, 2 months or so, we've seen teams trend away from just taking full stack versus full stack up top piano for a B hit. It's just not common. Taking that gamble of we hope we come out in the trades in our SMGs is not worth it anymore. So the offense was the first team to kind of sit there and say, we no longer want to play aggressively up top in piano. And the defense for a time said, oh, you don't want it? We'll take it. But then they quickly realized that, hey, we're kind of isolated up top in piano. So now we've kind of been in a weird world where neither team really wants to go top piano in a lot of ways, especially without having the M4 that can play up close. You'd rather just have Kriegs that are sitting very passively behind in that back trash alley. to where you can just lock down that location once an execute starts to come through. So it would be, I think, if I were to bet on it, I would say that we're going to largely see more triple ARs than we would triple SMGs when it comes to this map overall.
Yeah, for sure. It is a weird new meta, right? Isn't it? Because, I think for this week in particular, even though the teams have been sort of used to it now for a week or so, I think I want to say the first open was the last event where we saw XM4s, I want to say. So they're playing with a week or so now. The qualifier was most certainly with the Krig and the AK-74U without the muzzle brake / Spetsnaz compensator, depending on what you prefer. So even then, that was sort of relatively new. I still think we're in this sort of phase where teams are figuring out strategies with the new weapons and such, figuring out whether or not, your same strategies can apply, because the XM4 was so good that a lot of strategies back then were actually reliant upon it,
right?
especially when you go to checkmate. So it's certainly interesting to see. We're very much in early doors here with this current meta. So we will see, I guess, some experimental stuff maybe coming out on this map for sure. But currently 1-0 up here to this Passion squad. They are most certainly looking good. They've already taken down Rams in their first match of the evening. Of course, you guys can check all of that. I think that match was on the youtube.com/COD Challengers channel. So if you guys want to go check that out, currently there will be a second match going on at the same time as this one right now. So make sure you guys do go check that out. But
yeah. And for Passion, they did win both the Search and Destroys versus Rams. I mean, there was a 6-3 and then a round 11, 6-5 in map 5. So that is something to be said, I think, as far as what this team is bringing to the table in their preparation for Search and Destroy specifically.
That's so intriguing, isn't it? Because Search and Destroy, I mean, historically speaking, that has always been a team-based game mode. A team that's been used to it more over the course of time will be historically better at this game mode. So you'd expect Rams to have won that. But hey, if Passion are looking good early on in Search and Destroy, I'm all for it. And we're getting right off the bat here. Look at this aggressive defensive play coming straight in from Passion. They've pushed players all the way up, not only to the speedboat, but to the bar as well. You've got Bids at the moment mixing up cocktails right in the face of Trainhard, and I don't think they're ready for it.
Just to be sure here, Sport, I want to make sure that your game capture is okay. As notice it's a black screen on our feed. So we'll hopefully get that all resolved for you guys and not miss too much of the action as we're getting ready to jump back overall into it. And as we do, Weeman is already in a position over by the Catamaran. Bids is pushed through pool and actually is able to catch Whalers, not completely out. So he will actually survive and will stay 4v4, but Trainhard have made their way over towards this B site for a possible plant. And just as a note, again, I'm still seeing a black screen on our Discord feed, so I want to make sure that our game feed is actually being captured correctly.
Just get that sorted out for you guys. Until then, I suppose we can be BBC Radio 1 broadcasters. I know that reference will be lost on you, Shift. Because obviously you don't live in the UK.
Okay, I got it.
Do you listen to BBC Radio 1?
I don't listen to the radio, but if I get news, like I usually turn to BBC for my global news. It looks like
that's crazy.
It's back up here. So left with a 1v3 here for Keza. He falls, so Passion's retake will be successful.
Good start coming out from Passion. I really like that strategy. And hey, this is why they didn't want their Search and Destroys broadcasted, these players, Shift, because they come out with actually a unique strategy here on Miami Search and Destroy, and it does end up playing a part, of course, because Passion are able to push 2 players in from behind. I don't think the Trainhard are ready for that as quickly as it came. Denza making the play here in your best play. Able to get the kill onto Keza. Passion starting off strong here on the defense. It's not uncommon for a Miami Search and Destroy, but it is a start for Passion that they'll be happy with nonetheless.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just simply off the fact that Weeman and Bids are able to take control of the beachfront so quickly that Passion knows that this play is going to be. And they've got an opportunity to retake that from also playing from the flank because they've pushed through so far over towards that hotel. So that's where it really collapses. Trainhard isn't able to get the full post plant setup they would have liked after getting the initial plant. So now it's down to them to try to respond with the defense of their own. Passion looking for a 3-1 split, but the offense is heavily actually moving quickly over towards A. As Keza falls, that should be a go call to execute. Whalers just needs to try to hold his life for as long as possible.
Absolutely does. That is a power position that Whalers finds himself in. He's not going to be able to prevent this bomb plant, I believe. This is going to be Hixie getting it down regardless of what happens. And now Passion with the numbers. You have every bit of advantage in this situation, but Whalers takes down Denza. Passion now no longer have that numbers advantage. Trainhard, you got 30 seconds to retake this site. Can you do it? As Bids a little bit far out, will be effectively watching this mid-cross. Trainhard They're searching for him. I think Detain is convinced that somebody's over here, and of course he's the right play. Bids is going to win that one-on-one against Detain. Now this will send Whalers and Henry into overtime. Whalers is able to pick the head off Weeman, but it's still 2 players left alive. Henry's going to fall. Whalers able to pick up 1, but no time to get this defuse anymore. And I think, to be honest with you, that round was over effectively as soon as Bids won the 1v1 versus Detain.
Yeah, and I would even argue that it was over before that because the time was becoming a big issue. Underneath 30 seconds, you had nobody even close towards the visitor center. And Bids just has to play for information. As soon as he sees Whalers peeking over the corner, he knows that his teammates will pick up that work. He doesn't have to worry about that kill. All he has to do is read the information while his teammate stays safe. So even though Whalers does kind of pick apart the site, it's the fact that he knows that he doesn't have a free look at the defuse because of Bids staying in the middle of the map, which is when you start to see that play come from behind over towards Piano, and Bids is able to win that 1v1 that absolutely puts a nail in the coffin. But that's all he has to do. And it's a really heads-up play from Bids with an SMG, knowing that all I got to do is make sure I read information over towards what the cross is looking like over to A, and make sure my teammates are able to kind of finesse their lives. And we can use the clock as a 4th man overall, essentially.
Well, I apologize for any issues coming out the other end of the stream right now, guys. It appears there is some connection issues in the game. Hopefully those will resolve itself. But for now, Passion 2-0 up here in the search and destroy, getting very aggressive on the defense. Look at Denza coming in from behind. They have absolutely no idea. He's playing this slow as well. You could see it on the mini-map. He's able to pick up 1. Unfortunately, isn't able to follow up with another one. If you're a Denza in that situation, ideally, you want to do more than just take out 1. And now Train Hard, they have all the power in this situation. 45 seconds left on the clock. This bomb is going down, but Weeman in from behind is able to pick out Henry. And now bomb down. 40 seconds on the clock.
Yeah. And they could just double up here. Top Piano, they need to get this traded to Keza, though, and he will not be able to. Keza for 2. I have to imagine that's going to be play of the round, and it will be, but this is a hell of a double up from Keza. Barely even gets tagged by the first. Bids was hoping for a trade. Looks like he also had an AR in hand right there, and Keza reads him coming off the top rail for 2 beautiful kills because that's Passion. They know the bomb is down. All you have to do is stack up, force them to challenge you because you can't just safely plant. Not when you don't have any high ground control right above the bomb site. So it's a hell of a win from Keza, even to get the first, let alone to double up.
Well, Train Hard, they get around a sorely needed one as well. Of course, they did have the advantage in that situation. So if they didn't win it, well, we would have been looking at a rather horrible situation for them being 3-0 down in the search and destroy. But for now, they're in it now. Train On have players on the defense over towards A. That's the site which Passion wants to attack here. I think Denza's looking at make the play, comes on through, picks up 1, looking for the second on the Whalers. Big win for Whalers. If he dies there, that's the round. Not necessarily over, but definitely hard for a retake. But this bomb's going down now. Shift Hixie going to be responsible for it.
Yeah, Denza obviously gets credit for the first blood, but I think you also have the handshake Weeman a touch because he's actually off screen playing right around that pool exit, and he is slowly checking over towards Evermore as well as towards that back pink hotel just to make sure no one is watching the mid cross, and that allows Denza to get forward and get over to a position to find that first blood that allows this bomb plant. 2v2, Stick will come through for Detain, now leaving things just down to Hixie, but he has been revealed, or hasn't been revealed whatsoever. No one has any idea where he's at.
Hixie, 1 versus 2. Okay, nice kill from Detain, able to finish up the round. Big one as well, because he could literally have been anywhere there, Hixie. But Detain using his smarts to realize, well, here's where the bomb's planted for. Here's where Hixie's likely to be. And with time to spare, they're able to take him down. Big round from Train Hard there.
And I love the way that Train Hard tried to clear that last 2v1. Not having any information on where Hixie's at, you essentially take both players to make sure that, hey, if he's sitting back Catamaran, we've got an opportunity to 2v1 him and try to get some team shots. But once they recognize the boat is completely clear, you split up because then you're coming from one player that has to be behind him in some form. You cleared out the visitor center, so he's got to be somewhere in the middle of the map. And there's an opportunity to play a bit of a crossfire and get the trade. So, yeah, really good overall. I just love the fact that they didn't just double commit to both players playing from behind because then there may not have been enough time for a defuse. So really good diligence. And now Train Hard trying to get aggressive as they triple stack up top. Semtex will push them back, and Bids with the Krieg will be trying to hold close. Not a very great spot to be. But once again, Passion are all over the back line. But this time, Henry ready for it, able to scout out Hixie.
Henry's taking a couple of players here. Detain does take down Denza. There you go. Henry is going to fall from Hixie. Bid's taking a fight up top pink. He is going to get away with his life. And some gunfights going down. Whalers and Detain going to win both of them. So now it's going to be Hixie, a 1 versus 2, of course. As earlier interference, taking out Henry, means they're going to have at least some idea where he is. There you go, Hixie able to win the fight against Detain. Now a 1 versus 1 between Hixie and Whalers. Whalers has the better weapon for this situation, of course, that Krig 6. And just playing this cool as a cucumber. 25 seconds on the clock. Hixie looking at coming from behind. This could work out absolutely in Hixie's favor, or maybe not actually, as he now comes on the round. Whalers going to walk away. Of course, Hixie is in much better position here for this round. He's going to make his way over towards A. There's just simply not enough time for Whalers to get this bomb down, and this should easily be around for Hixie. It's just unfortunate for Whalers there. Tries to find Hixie. Unfortunately, isn't able to do it.
Yeah, it's tough scenes. It's just a really difficult position in the first place because Passion do get behind once more. And it's that little bit of regen. If Hixie doesn't get the regen off, he probably doesn't even find the first kill, let alone the second. So the fact that he was able to finesse his life for as long as possible through that back boardwalk is incredible for Passion's defense. And so now you're in a position to where, how do you want to take this bomb out? I think for Passion, because Trainhard have, I think, mostly recognized what Passion is trying to do off the rip here with their early tempo and pace. And I feel like after the last offense was able to get through the middle of the map, Trainhard will be more aware of it. They're actually going to try to get aggressive on their own right. Keza, Detained, both able to find individual kills and at least back up to survive with one member. But the trades are there. 2v2 we go. Passion with bomb control. But I think at this point, they also recognize the last 2 defenders had to be coming from the A side.
They absolutely do. And now they certainly do, is one of those players does take some shots. So Passion have all the knowledge in this situation. You're surely going to see Bids act on it here as he does get the bomb down on B. Or he's going to eventually. There you go. Finally going to get this bomb down. I think Denza's actually about to get caught out. And yes, he is. Whaler's able to win that fight in the mid-map. So now 1 versus 2 here for Bids. Does have the bomb on his side. But now, of course, knowledge on Trainhard's as Bids is going to get spotted out top pink. Henry's going to see him and he might just know where Bids is coming from. Bids isn't even going to get the first big gunfight for Henry to win. And now all the time in the world for Trainhard to jump on this defuse.
Yeah, really good. I'm loving what we're seeing out of Trainhard here in the way that they're just adjusting and adapting, kind of reading that Passion wants to play aggressive, not just on their defense from the prior rounds, but also offensively. They've made a lot of really hard commits. And this time, instead of trying to bait that aggression into a setup, they decide to get aggressive of their own. And it actually kind of catches the side of Passion a bit more off guard than you would have figured with that 2-for-2 exchange, which, you know, again, you're able to get those trades if you're Passion, you don't feel poorly about. It's just the fact that what are you going to do with your post plant when you've got SMGs that are left? You really can't play over towards the boardwalk. Your only real hope is that you can catch someone on rotation through the middle of the map, and you saw it right there in play of the round. Whalers is able to find that kill onto the player kind of peeking out through that back alley, making the retake that much easier. So really good adjustment so far, leading us to a 3-3 tie, and Trainhard will go back to their 3-1 setup favoring the A side, in which Weeman is the only defensive player here. You have to keep your eye on number 7, though, because Bids is also trying to watch the middle cross as well.
65 seconds left in this round. Trainhard still not entirely sure where they want to take this bomb just yet. If they do opt for a B in the end, well, they're going to be in trouble. But Hixie opens up that first blood onto Whalers. That was actually, I guess, the companion of Henry. But good play coming in from Detain, able to slip through the defensive line, takes one player out bottom piano. That's going to be Hixie. So now 3 versus 3. Detain could potentially do some damage here. And if anything, I think Detain's presence over towards B has made Passion believe that this is going to be a B hit. Actually, I'm not sure they're all that convinced themselves anymore. But with 30 seconds left, I mean, Shift, if you're Henry right now, you kind of got to go.
Yeah, and they have to commit to B, and they haven't fully cleared anything around this B side still. Denza's in a great position. He's been calling for help for Bids, who can just get over the top. I imagine they both have ARs. Yeah, they sure do. So, again, this is that setup that we're talking about with 3 ARs where you can play passive. Just hold your utility. Don't reveal your position until it's too late. And, well, it is too late. Not enough time for a plant, you would think, unless Bids doesn't find this kill immediately. And he will. Detain now stuck. The bomb does get planted. He could try to reset this. The 1v2 coming in front of him, but flat out overwhelmed. Easy defuse for Passion to go up 4-3.
I just think overall there, I mean, I'm Shifter sure you can explain this more. That was just Trainhard playing that way too slowly. I think as soon as they lost that player, they kind of just stalled.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that It's not that Trainhard, I don't think, makes the commitment in time to execute. I think it's just the fact that they don't get as much information as they want to make the execution call. I mean, because you have two players. I mean, Bids could be anywhere in the middle of the map. He could be in that hotel. He could be kind of floating over towards hedges. He could be just sitting behind any of these cars. There's a lot of angles that he could watch to the middle. And so once they recognize that Bids is playing mid-map, you don't really have the ability to go right over to A, because they didn't. I mean, there's a lot of SMGs that were brought into the mix there for Trainhard. So they have to commit to getting onto B. And the problem was they never at any point knew what the defense and the backside of B looked like, especially with Denza rocking that Krig. So it's just a really good defensive concealment from Passion. And now Trainhard going to try to stay aggressive defensively as they move not just through the beachfront, but they also have two players up and around the piano area as well.
Oh, Passion. Looking for this beat hit. You got to get past Henry on the steps. This is a power position and a half. Henry has actually been spotted out here, I believe. Puts those first few shots in. Does get a trade on a teammate who does fall. Henry going to have to get the hell out of dodge for now. And of course, that means the power position has been given up, as well as control of the bomb site. Passion now. What do you do in this post-plant position? 35 seconds to defend this bomb. Hixie able to catch Henry off guard. Keza, well, he could really cause some damage here. I don't believe they know where he is. And there you go. Now they do. Does take out Hixie. Got to survive here. Almost gets Weeman there. Unfortunately for him, finds himself in a relatively awkward position. Going to get shot by Bids in a corner. And well, Passion now, game point. They looked really good on the offense there.
And they're using this meta swap to their advantage in a major way. We've seen two polar opposites from this Passion squad. Triple ARs, very passive. Triple SMGs, very aggressive. And they've just had a little bit of a leg up on what Trainhard has tried to do to respond to it. I mean, they're trying to almost emulate and do the exact same thing, aren't they? And it's a moment where Trainhard are finding some success with it, but it's almost like imitation is the biggest form of flattery right now. As Passion is like, we know what this play looks like. We know what you're going to be trying to do. So they're able to kind of break it down, maybe just a touch better than what Trainhard is trying to put forward at the moment. At least that's kind of the mantra that we've seen so far. I mean, again, you look over to Trainhard's stats, no one is playing poorly. In fact, everyone's playing really darn well. It's just been these last couple of dicey moments where it gets down to 2v2, 1v1s, 1v2s that Passion have had a slight edge on, but this time Trainhard will open up with first blood as they try to approach to this B site. The defense has fully rotated over. Whalers, I don't think, saw anybody come through, so this will be a 3v3 on the B site.
It will be indeed. 3 versus 3 now. Bids and Denza over here, trying to put a stop to this. Weeman is able to pick up Whalers, but now the bomb is down, so 3 versus 2. Detain takes down 2, big kills, switches to his Krig to get the second as well. So now Weeman 1 versus 3. He is dead to rights. Trainhard, they're able to see another round here of search and destroy. I think the team names are switched, unless I'm being... Oh, no, they're not switched. I'm just having a mare. I was thinking for a second that Detain's not on Trainhard, and then, of course, I realized that he is. My brain is lagging behind by about 6 weeks.
I do love that push through for Detain as well. I think there's a certain understanding that, okay, Weeman is in the middle of the map. We know Denz is playing in the back, and we know that Bids in the past has played through mid. So let's just try to send one of our SMGs flying forward to see if we can catch Passion, maybe looking for longer angles than are actually there at the very end. I really like that commitment as well. Just kind of knowing where your inherent pros versus your cons are in your setup. When you've got SMGs going up against 3 ARs, you need to get forward. You need to get close up, and well, Keza tries to do that as well, but the team shot's too good, and now at least Whalers by himself defensively at A. He needs to back up, and you can even see that Henry is playing all the way back through Diner, just rotating from B to A just in case, but Passion have flipped. The only thing that's different about this setup is the fact that Detain should be able to read this play if he finds good timing, and he does, finds the first kill, and that will lead towards now Trainhard trying to rotate back over to help this B site.
Detain hit. Still has quite a lot to do as Whalers is going to fall. I mean, Henry can come over and help him, but honestly, Detain in this situation, they're going to sniff out this rotation. Really well played from them here. Question is, can they put a stop to it? The answer, it would seem, is no, as Hixie makes his way to the bomb site. Weeman is in the top power position on balcony. Now, it's just Henry, a 1 versus 3 to save this game for Trainhard. Can he pull it off? Certainly has the weaponry to do so. Krig 6, not bad in this situation whatsoever, but time not on his side. 30 seconds to go. You've got to reserve 7.5 of that for the defuse. Henry going to go straight in. Hixie meets him inside the visitor center, offers him a nice little treat, a slice of Miami culture.
Wow.
And that's going to be 6-4.
This Passion team is disgusting. I mean, it's just one of those things that it's so early on into a meta. Big swap up. And especially considering the fact that the region is not allowing the QBZ to be played with. So it's not just weapons that are being used. It's a completely different style of game that is being played. And Passion right now, they just feel like they have a leg up as far as understanding where success is going to be found with this meta, not just on the respawn, but especially in those search and destroy rounds. And it's caused them to find these small advantages because Trainhard have been in both of the games that we've had. Like, again, talking about that Garrison Hardpoint, the fact of the matter is you had a very strong sense of knowing the timings from Passion and cutting off rotations from Hardpoint to Hardpoint early that led to you being up by 100, 120 points early. Trainhard still fought back. They still looked pretty good throughout. It's just those key moments that they were finding themselves on the downside of some trades. They're in the search and destroy. Goes to round 10, but when there are these initial setups that you're seeing from Passion with these triple AR lockdowns, these triple SMGs, aggressive hits, they just have that little bit of extra kind of confidence when it comes to where are we going to find the success when we're running this setup. And they're using it beautifully. Trainhard is still staying competitive, but I think that just goes to show that Passion have a leg up on the competition here early in this EU region when it comes to understanding how this meta is going to favor different play styles, and they're executing beautifully right now.
I think that's always been the case. I mean, it's kind of funny, right? Because it's always been the case with players like Bids and Denza. You know, early on in the meta, you look towards Singularity last year, particularly with Bids, and you know, they were the first team really, I think, to figure out the meta before everybody else, figure out sort of the pace of the game, and that's why they had a lot of success early on. Of course, on top of that, they had some serious individual skill. So it's not that surprising to see a roster like this find success. I mean, they're just so talented, I think, naturally at the game. I will say at the moment in this series particularly, it does feel a little bit like there's just a few things separating them, like you say, right? Early gameplay coming out from this Trainhard roster Passion roster, sorry, really did separate them from Trainhard. So not a lot separating them at the moment, but the scoreline is still 2-0. Let's take a look at our map set for this series to show you guys how the rest of this series will play out. We move over towards Garrison Control. And then in our next map, of course, we will be seeing a double raid if this doesn't go the way of Trainhard. Now, interestingly enough, we take a look at Trainhard here in this game mode. This has been by far and away their strongest game mode, albeit they were with Hydra in stage 1. I believe they finished stage 1 7-2 in Control. They only lost 2 maps across the entirety of that stage. It is by far and away their strength here, Shift.
Agreed. And, you know, it just comes down to, we also saw that been demonstrated against 67K in their first matchup where they ran through this Garrison without any cause for concern, really. Now, that said, maybe there is something to be said about the devil in the details when it comes to who you're playing up against, right? Like, looking over on what's happening on the other matches right now, 67K just got thrashed by Connect 4 in 3 maps, 250-98, around 11 search, and then a 3-1 Garrison Control. So is this a completely different opponent that we really can't maybe transition talking about one match to the other? Very well might be that case, but I think the historical fact still stands that this Trainhard team was very good overall when it came to Control in split number 1. And what we just saw out of the one sample size here in split number 2, they were near flawless as well. So their Control definitely needs to be one of their strong points, I feel like, this year, or this stage rather, to kind of keep them in the favor when it comes to playing up against other strong teams in this EU split 2. And what a time to demonstrate that than right now, where you need a reverse sweep to stay perfect in your first 2 matches in split 2.
Absolutely. This is the time for Trainhard to show their prowess in the Control game mode. Of course, we're going to be switching over to Garrison Control for what could well be the final map in the series. What a debut this has been for the Passion roster. We asked questions of what this new team is going to be like, of course, after Singularity had, I think, a mediocre stretch, obtained also even House Taft kind of what they kind of lulled recently. So this is a very interesting mix of players that have the passion to succeed. The question is, will they? As we jump into Control, it's Passion kicking things up on the offense. This is, of course, a defensively sided map. Of course, Control is generally defensively sided, but this one in particular. And it seems like Passion facing some problems right off the start here.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, again, it's very mildling. It's still very early on, but they have gotten some space to work in the middle of the map, which is good news, even considering it. I was about to say there's some weirdness going on here because not everybody is moving in the ways that you would normally anticipate them. And I was about to kind of comment on it, but it looks like there will be a bit of a reset of the lobby here. So, yeah, it's one of those things that we go back and talk about the immediate recent success that we saw from Trainhard. It was the SMGs, 3 SMG lineup that just pushed and they got control of that middle map so darn quickly, especially from the offensive lens, but they were also able to execute on it defensively. My big key, same as it was for the Garrison Hardpoint, for the side of Passion, you need to make sure you're always contesting that space. You cannot allow Trainhard to walk through for free because we saw how big the plays were that were made when they have the opportunity to make their way into places like Cobble and Bricks, or even just the front square where the 5th Hardpoint would be located. If they can get forward, it takes away so many defensive options for your opponents that it usually leads to some pretty wild success. So that has to be a major consideration in my mind for Passion as we get into the second restart of the lobby.
Absolutely, it does, and sort of you mentioned what the free subs of Trainhard being this crazy sort of this sub wall, the SMG, I don't know, 70U wall.
Yeah.
They're pretty good, right? But I think you look at the other side, and you've got 3 players that could all play subs if necessary: Denza, Bids, and Hixie. Hixie especially. I mean, he was just a monster at Obtained, right? We talk about what he was able to do on that Obtained lineup, and Hixie, to me, and I'll make this hot take, I really don't care. Hixie to me, it was one of the best SMGs here in Europe. Without a doubt, in my mind, on that Obtained roster. It's just unfortunate, really, that Obtained roster never really reached its potential, especially when Harry left them. So for me, him being on this team is not necessarily the secret weapon, but most certainly helps them build up an SMG defense of their own.
Sure.
So it's going to be interesting to sort of see that 3 versus 3 lineup here on a map like Garrison Control. Of course, the AR battle is also very important, with Whalers and Weeman being 2 extremely talented players with the AR. But we'll see which one is going to win out. Will Passion come out with 3-0? We're going to go again here on Garrison Control, and hopefully this time we don't have another restart.
You can already see the routes that are being taken by Passion. Bids is going to make sure nobody's up top and then immediately come down towards this mid area. Keza finds first blood again, but I mean, it's just the simple fact that Passion are already in positions where they're okay with their setup. You do have number 4 of Hixie trying to make his way through. He actually comes back around light, so he's cleared out a lot of space. And nobody has seen Henry yet, so you have to feel like he's playing somewhere around the vent. And that will indeed be communicated and cleaned up. But in the same time, Trainhard come off the respawn, reset up their defense. Not a single tick of progress was given up.
Not the worst position in the world, is it really, for Trainhard at the moment? They aren't able to enact a spawn trap just yet, but I really like this play from Passion. A bit heads up, if you will, as they try to make their way immediately over towards A. Unfortunately for them, though, one-on-ones do end up going in the way of Trainhard. And now we're going to see the dreaded spawn trap start to come on through. You've got to get out of this if you're Passion. Pretty much immediately, Whalers in a power position here, has eyes on basically the entirety of the map. Detain now also looking to get right into the mixer. Is Trainhard now just trying to stop Passion coming through? 25 seconds now for Passion to do something. Hixie starting to contest this B zone. Weeman picks up 2 in the mid-map, and now some real progression should be made as Hixie hunts down Keza. Passion in control of B, and Trainhard, I mean, for them here, it is effectively make sure you do not lose green control.
Henry, where are you going there, brother? He's kind of walking out in the middle of traffic a little bit. His team doesn't want to give this up. That's the reason why he even tries to make the play in the first place, but there wasn't a lot of help for him to come through. The double up from Hixie. Unreal response, 36 HP, and he says, all I needed, well, it's 35 too much, really, is all that was required. Keza off spawn does find a kill, so even though there's some electricity in the air from Passion, Trainhard are still in a position to where they can try to lock down this A zone off the rip. Only 65 seconds to play as well, so not a lot of time either for Passion to make this play.
And that was a session. No way. Okay, Weeman. No way does he switch over to a 74U and still win that fight, as Detain is going to end up winning one. It was a tough fight for Hixie over towards A. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to win it, as Detain does end up taking that one. So Trainhard looking at keep control of this point for now. Passion winding up for a push through bricks. You've got to be careful of the players coming off spawn, though. That is going to be a problem. But Bids, well, he deals with that problem with ease as he takes out Whalers now. Just Henry left alone on the point. A 1 versus 1 versus Denza. A huge one to win for both of these players. Denza, can he remove Henry? Yes, he can. And now this could well be an opening if Passion are able to support him quick enough. Trainhard are going to come on through to the point. Keza picks up 2. Bids is the last player left alive. Keza takes out 3. Why the heck not? As Trainhard now deal with Hixie, the last player left alive, with 20 seconds left here. Now you start to ask the question, How do you approach this? You have the life advantage. You just need
flood.
one good push, and you do have to flood, as you say. Bids is going to fall. Henry going to be responsible for that one. 5 seconds left now. You got to go through the front. Are they even going to do it? Yes, they will try. Hixie going to get taken down, though, and that should be Trainhard coming out on top.
Yeah, when you get a special play like that from Keza, I mean, the only option, you just kind of have to take it on the chin and then set up for one last dire push. You kind of saw at the end there for Passion, they still were sending players around through Cobble. It's just not clearable. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is as far as the adjective would go, but you're not able to clear the space in time is the big key. You've got one more chance to get on. You've got to hope that you get some success from the front because you need to stall the clock. That's the first and foremost thing that has to happen. So when you essentially sacrifice the ability to flood and you try to play for a cheeky little pinch, the time just wasn't there for it, but it's still the fact that Keza single-handedly is the reason why Trainhard's defense is even in that position to kill off those final seconds. Absolutely lights out job for him to find 3. Isn't done yet. Comes out of spawn, finds himself a 4th and a 5th, and him, Detain, and Henry will have an early look at the A site. It's not often you see full setups going for an A hit off the bat, but when you're finding clean kills like that, why not give it a go?
Well, when it works, it works. And now we ask the question, does it work? Well, Denza, he's going to be fixing it up here for Trainhard, or for Passion, sorry, able to pick up 3 massive gunfights for him to win there as Passion clear out the point. But that is 2 ticks of progress for this Trainhard lineup over towards A. Now here's the problem. They have to get out of this spawn trap, and it is a very hard spawn trap to spring. Trainhard, they've elected to push one lane, the one that Passion weren't looking at. It's going to be going all the way through Dark Hit. Trainhard have filtered on through. Denza trying to stay alive over towards Caution. He is going to end up falling. Now Trainhard starting to win these ones. Now get the player inside lights. Why not? Now Hixie, the last player that could do anything about this. He will pick up 1. Just got to waste some time here for the rest of your teammates to come off the spawn. Unfortunately, isn't able to do so.
And this is really dangerous. Passion, they actually have to rotate off the respawn by going through A. When you lose that mid-map pressure, you don't want to give away the 60 seconds for free. So they don't have the ability to straight contest the B zone. And as they try to make this rotation, Trainhard is already here to contest it. Nice set Semtex for Denza to find 1. Whalers hoping to double down will be taken off the point. But again, this comes at such a steep cost. Trainhard already gotten 2 ticks of progress, working on the 3rd. Bids is trying to get there to contest, and he gets on for a small time, but it's not enough to do much of anything. You've got a 4 life advantage now. Well, actually, just made down to a 2 for Trainhard, but you have 90 seconds to find 1 tick, and Whalers is already here to try to make some progress happen on this final tick at A.
I'm so confused how Weeman just wasn't looking there at the right area. Unfortunate, really, because now it's Whalers all alone on this point. You got 90 seconds to work with big 2-piece coming out from Bids there inside green. But a player has filtered in from behind. That's going to be Keza. He's able to pick up 1, looking for a number 2 inside bricks. Doesn't find it. Passion able to clear out their corners. And now Trainhard, you have to go again here on the offense. You have quite a lot of time to work with. Not really that notable of a life advantage.
This is a really interesting moment. Trainhard have to make a decision as far as what they want to spend their resources on, because you're going to be underneath a minute here in a moment, and they're trying to open up space in the middle of the map, but that's where Passion is currently fully stacked. You have now Denza, who's going to be by himself on A, but the read from Weeman is essentially making sure that nobody can pinch from behind. So these respawns for Passion will reinforce the hill, and then all will just look right up towards green. Yes, there is an initial elimination, but Bids is here to try to contest again.
You gotta contest. You gotta go now. Detain picks up 2. Surely not 3. Detain! Oh my goodness me, Detain! He's going off at the moment. 19 and 10. The 3-piece that could well end this round and maybe even the game later on. Detain gets 4. Switches to the DMR. It doesn't matter what weapon you put in Detain's hand. As long as it shoots, he will shoot you. And Trainhard explode there at the end, and more accurately Detain. It's the best play of the round, and there is no doubt in my mind why. It shuts that entire round down.
Unbelievable. 3 kills, 1 clip. That's ridiculous. And then a little bit of finesse over the top of the archway. Again, you think I'm one place, a little bit of sleight of hand. Never mind, I'm in a different place altogether. And it's just been so wild because Trainhard find themselves up now 2-0. And Henry's just happy to be here. He doesn't have much to do. He's been the guy that kind of fills in the back when the back needs to be filled in. The thing about it is, Keza and Detain are doing so much from the front, there's no need. He doesn't have to fill in and do much of anything besides sit and capture the zone. 19 objective plays for Detain, 17 objective plays for Keza. That's more than the entire side of Passion combined just between the 2 of them.
It's just insane. It really is just insane looking at the talent on this Train Hard lineup. They get a wave of kills right out the bat here, and Keza and Detain, they've picked up exactly where they left off at the end of that round. Keza getting his 5th on a spree. Couple more right in front of him. Going to make the first sweep with a nade. Not even going to get it, actually. It's a big shutdown there from Vids as they try to get out of this spawn trap. But Detain is there to pick up the slack. And if he gets one more kill here, it will be an artillery strike for him. Trying to keep this one alive. If they lose this round, which is highly unlikely at this point, this streak will be key. But hey, Denza takes him down before those streaks can come on through. But Passion, you still got to work pretty hard to get out of this spawn trap. And look how far Henry is pushed up. He's going to get taken down, and that could create an opening.
And it's just, man, Detain and Keza are everywhere. It's just, they're all over the map, it feels like, at any given moment in time. Like, oh, Passion's about to make some success happen? Nope, just kidding. Keza's there, or Detain is there. I mean, it's just, it's wild. And now even Henry. This is what I talk about when I say he's trying to backfill into spaces. You know, that first player that's up, oh my goodness, falls, and Henry tries to pick up in his place. And there's Keza saying, I'll just go ahead and take that baton back there, bud. You just go ahead and have some fun. 10 seconds, looking like another 3-0 on this map for Train Hard. Their control, historically incredible. Currently, even more impressive, maybe.
Somebody screenshot this scoreboard real quick. Somebody get it. I need to see it. Somebody get that. Go back in the YouTube and screenshot that scoreboard. Tweet it at me. I need to see Keza and Detain, man. They are just insane players at the moment. And we went into this talking about the SMGs of this roster. And hey, would you look at that? The SMGs turned the heck up here in this game. I believe that both Whalers and Henry there were both running Krig 6s for the most part. Well, even still, though, right? I still think the overall point here is that these two players, just Keza and Detain, just insane, just so good with the SMG. It blows my mind. Just the plays that they were making there, the streaks that they were going on, really did just shut down. And you know, we often talk about defense being sort of like, you expect the defense to win. The big difference maker there was that round number 2 clutch.
Yeah, and it's the fact that Keza and Detain are the entrymen for this team. Like I mentioned, like, Henry's just there to fill space. So Keza and Detain are the ones that are trying to fill forward. They're trying to be the ones that be the playmakers when it comes to executing, especially on the offense, but also making sure they're on the ones that are retaking zones and how they're kind of clearing space. So the fact that they're not being killed flat out, that they're finding 2, 3 every single time they try to make an entry play, there's not going to be a lot that Whalers and Henry are going to be required to do, because they're just there to kind of read the play in front of them and then follow up. But when no follow-up is needed, you can kick your feet up, relax, have yourself a good time, no matter what weapon you happen to be using. So that's why I largely sit there and say that for Train Hard, this SMG trio can be absolutely disgusting, because I think in the entry form that Keza is able to play as well as Detain, if they can continue to find lives where they're going in and finding 2 kills, even if they're getting traded after that, that's job more than well done. And it makes life so much easier for that Train Hard squad. So now we transition the conversation to raid for the hard point. You want to talk about where you want to see those SMGs again, finding success on the initial playmaking spots when it comes to on rotation or when it comes to breaking. Those are the players you're going to be looking at again. And just going back, talking about Train Hard when they were playing up against 67K on Moscow, they were so successful on breaks, and it was a lot of the same reason. Players like Keza and Detain were the ones that were finding value on those initial approaches. So that would have to stay the case here once again if Train Hard want to extend this to a 5th map and then put in the conversation piece for a reverse sweep.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, Passion have been in this position before. You guys can see the map set on your screens right now. 3-0. That is quite a statement victory there for Train Hard. One that was absolutely necessary. And of course, you know, as I was saying, Shift, right? I think the thing is, we've seen Passion in this position where they were 2-0 up in a series and it went to game 5 literally an hour ago. It was not that long ago that they were in this position against the Rams also. So they did end up coming out on top of that one, but do not be surprised if this goes to a game 5. Train Hard, very, very good team, and you could never count them out of any particular situation. But Raid Hardpoint, this is going to be a very SMG-orientated map, as you already said, Shift. I'm really looking forward to get into this one. I mean, for you here, at least in a mental state, right, how do Train Hard sort of bounce back from maybe the first 2 maps? I mean, they've already done a pretty good job of that on the map 3 of the control, right? But for that hard point, I mean, they didn't have a good map number 1 at all.
I wouldn't even say that much. It was just the fact that they were losing out on very key timings when it comes to rotating between the hard points. And the Garrison is not a forgiving map. It's one of those that you find yourself trying to get from P2 on an exit to get over to the 3rd hard point, and you get shut down completely. guess what? You're spawning on the other side of the map. So then that's already 20 seconds gone just to see the third hard point, which gives you one chance to break it. And if that's not successful, which largely it won't be because the team that you're playing up against has got the space to give the setup that they want, then all of a sudden you find yourself 60 seconds in the hole. So it just comes down to those timings in specific. I'm looking between kitchen and garage to basketball specifically. In the middle of the map, if Trainhard can be a little bit better, win some of those key timings and the rotations when it comes to playing between those key hard points, there's an opportunity where you're not looking at a 100-point game. You're looking at a game that's either in your favor or it's one that's very marginally contested. Because yes, this Passion team is very good when it comes to how they're playing, their speed, their timings, and their tempo. But it's not to say that Trainhard was blown out in that first map. It just comes down to the fact that there were maybe 2-3 key moments back to back to back that they missed out on. And that's what led to a score differential that was just too much for them to make up.
Well, we're jumping to the hard point. It's map number 4. This could, again, well be the last as Passion are still up in the series, but Trainhard, they've got themselves on the board. And right out the gate here, we're seeing Passion win the first few engagements in their favor. Detain, though, he was a problem for Trainhard in the control. Not this time, though, on the hard point number 1. He's going to waste some time as Keza tries to make his way on in, but Passion will end out winning the first couple of engagement. Just one more player to take down here, and they'll take him out. Passion now in control.
You do have a spawn out moment here for Trainhard as they do get blocked from the back. Wee Man will kind of take place over towards behind kitchen, but you can see Trainhard recognizing this. They're trying to turn around, leaves Whalers essentially by himself, but help has arrived from the middle of the map. Henry and Detain doing what they can. Nice double down for Bids, who is rocking a second AR. Just keep that in the back of your mind. It is a 2-2 setup for Passion compared to the 3-1 of Trainhard, so that's a conversation that might have to be changed depending on how this map starts to tilt, especially from the POV of Trainhard.
Indeed, Passion looking for the rotation now. Got one player to deal with inside the back line. That's going to be Detain. And, well, all the gunfights do go their way. Just a 1v1. Hixie ends up winning it. Nice Semtex from Hixie to pick up the first. Now it's a new one-on-one here as Henry looks to take down Hixie. Just wasting time at the moment for his players who are coming off spawn over towards Tiki to come and help him out. But Henry doesn't need the help. He picks up 2. Weak from the Semtex, unfortunately, will end up falling. But, of course, his teammates are there to pick up the slack. And now Bids up front. He is going to fall. Trainhard able to hold on for now. But Passion, they just keep on spawning. They just keep on trying to fight on through. And it is a constant contested hill here. Finally, a moment of reprieve.
Hixie just came into the site and slalomed as if he was trying to compete for a gold medal on the Winter Olympics. He went left, right, and just dashed in and out like I've never seen before. Bids a little bit of trigger discipline in front of us through the rock garden. We'll only find one of what could have been 3. And again, Trainhard, timing, tempo, pacing. This is what you want to see. Run through the middle of the map when you have that little bit of an exit time. You're going to have numbers to contest up against this garage hard point. You just got to be careful because Bids is still lurking from behind. Whalers will be able to read that. This comes down to where will he spawn? He will spawn out. So an opportunity for Trainhard to break on this attempt.
An opportunity indeed, and well, it's a pretty quick break from them. What a break! A stellar break from them, making their way on through, winning every single gunfight, and now Passion find themselves dislodged from the hard point. Keza inside the gym, lifting some weights, looking for the kill onto Denza, switches to the Diamante to get it. Unfortunately for him, though, he is going to get taken out. Detain picks up 2. Trainhard still looking for this time. Detain actually now on a killing spree as well, so you want to make sure you take him off that spree. You do not want to lose streaks on a map like this, Shift.
No, not at all. It's just, it gives you such a huge bonus when it comes to trying to break hard points like this 4th one in particular. So we'll see if they can try to find a way to enable Detain to get this. He is just soaking up every final second worth of scrap time. So this initial hit for Trainhard will not be tempered by the fact that you're trying to play for a streak. So you can still hard commit to this. Henry's found himself a Krig to use, and he's been able to get first blood. And how about the play from behind? Trainhard is trying to block these jungle spawns, but they don't clear the space fully. And, well, it's now down to Henry as he's, again, just playing with a little bit of duality. And with the 6th kill coming in for Detain, one more will get him an artillery strike. He does get pushed away and now has to wait for help, if help can arrive in time. And, well, he actually makes good on a kill on the Denza. And then here it is, immediately under the artillery strike to try to open up for this break.
At the very least, might get Hixie. No, it doesn't. So Detain's going to have to do it inside the hard point. Hixie picks up 2. He's going to get taken down, but it doesn't really matter because he does enough damage that Passion can get in for that last 20 seconds of time. That is absolutely necessary also. So now Trainhard on this rotation. Going to give up that 15 seconds of scrap time or so. Not the worst position in the world to be in. Detain's going to pick up 1 inside money. Just need to catch some of these players exiting the hard point. The Taint continuing now on what was a brilliant game at 17-7, looking to make it 18-7. He will do with ease. Surely not 19, just playing with Wee Man. Oh my god, the extra bullets in the body as well. The Taint, you can't be doing that to him. You just can't do it. As the Taint is finally going to get shut down, but it looks like a repeat of what we saw in the control.
He's just so damn good. Every time you think he's in an impossible situation, he finesses it perfectly. It's just been an absolute treat to watch. So 133 to 85 the tally, but Passion currently with 30 seconds to play on our 5th hill. They are in a really strong setup. Wee Man is playing over towards top statue. 3 members are surrounding around this hard point. And well, even though there are a couple of kills, you would still be hard pressed if you're train hard to even win out the majority of the scrap time. They do break through with 14 seconds to play. But as we tilt our attention over towards the next hard point, over towards the statue, you do have Passion members that are looking to try to set up a bit of a pinch, playing from 2 sides.
Oh, Whalers. Big gunfights there for Train Hard to win as they look towards the rotation. They've had a lead for a very long amount of time here in this game. Now looking to do it on this rotation. Train Hard getting those entry gunfights. Passion looking to execute a pincer movement from 3 different directions. Will it work out? Well, Weeman's going to get taken down by Henry. Unfortunately for him, though, he's going to get traded out, and now it is literally just Hixie left to, at the very least, put a stop to the Train Hard roster earning any time. Henry's playing this a little bit passively. Unfortunately, is going to fall. Now Keza up to bat inside the hard point. He's able to pick up 1, turns around for Denzer, isn't going to be able to get it. So Passion now looking to contend this time, as we now have, what, 20 seconds left of this hill time. We'll be thinking about this rotation very, very soon. It is Train Hard getting the remainder of the scrap.
And you got to turn your attention to Keza, number 5. What is this play going to be? Just kind of as he moves around the back, he's going to be the one player to work around this long flank while everybody else from Train Hard tries to hit from a more traditional angle. And he's going to have maybe a bit of timing here. No, it's going to be Hixie who reads him. And so the whole attempt for Train Hard to get an initial play for the back spawns has been shut down. And this is a major hard point for Passion. You would love to go 40 seconds at least, but detained. He's got himself a Krig. Apparently that's fine enough for an entry. He eventually gets stuck. Bid's able to turn that not just into 2, but 3. That'll be good news for Passion as they will hold on initially. Whalers with 2 makes things interesting, but the spawns will allow Passion to reinforce sooner rather than later.
It's just unrelenting, isn't it? The spawns on this hard point as Train Hard now looking to find their way in again. This is time you do not want to give up to Passion. You haven't gained yourself quite a large lead, and Bid's now trying to put a stop to it as Passion still spawning in the backline here. They will get this last 20 seconds or so of scrap time, and Train Hard now going to make this rotation over towards New. This lead, it just hasn't changed all that much, Shift.
No, it hasn't, but it just comes down to the fact that they've given themselves an opportunity here to make a play, to contest. The scrap time will be confirmed. Hixie will be caught in the corner, so he'll fall, but Denz is able to kind of keep things interesting. We're going to have a 50-50 battle here. 3v2 for the hard point. Bids is snuck over towards the back of the garage by the cars, and that will lead to now numbers for Passion. So Train Hard, all the work that they've done so far has been great. Their adjustments that we talked about they needed to see on rotation were incredible, but Passion are starting to find a way to break on in and get that extra favor that we saw them have during the Garrison hard point. They're just down underneath 30 points now.
Yeah, and this is time you do not want to give up if you're Train Hard, to be honest, and that's why you're seeing the Tane push it. Tane actually ends up picking 1. Hixie's the last player left alive that could do anything about this. At the very least, just wants to contest this time. He will fall. Now Denzer up to bat to try and take this time away from Train Hard. It's not to be, so that last 20 seconds or so will go their way. Look at this play from Wee Man. Just waits the longest possible time to take down Keta and make sure nobody is following him, and of course, nobody will be. Henry trying to make his way on through for this rotation. It is going to be Passion over here. They need to make sure they break on in here, Shift. Train Hard, you've got 1 push to try and break it early on.
Denza spawns out. He can actually make a play from the middle of the map, but Detain was aware of the potential play and is able to shut it down. So now an opportunity for Train Hard to continue to spawn Passion away. Means that they're going to have numbers here to try to contest against this basketball hard point pretty darn quickly, but the play from behind is tempered pretty nicely from Passion overall. It's 20 seconds already off the clock, and still more kills are coming through. Hixie for a handful. Still 1 more to deal with. Takes down Bids, unfortunately, and gets wall-banged by Whalers, leaving Wee Man in what would be a 1v2, but the break will be successful, and Train Hard will go over 220 points.
The good news here, Passion They're not going to be concerned about the game ending on this hard point, but this is still time. You do not want to give up here as Bids and Hixie looking to still challenge for it. You can see now this pincer movement coming in from behind. Bids able to pick up one. Hixie follows up with the other one. So that 10 seconds or so is going to be Passions, but a massive rotational gunfight actually won by Denza onto Henry. Trainhard now getting split spawns across the map. Unfortunate there as Denza does fall to Whalers, but Bids and Weeman, what a rotation from them there. They remove Trainhard from the scrap time and they get in for this next hill.
They don't have anybody over to the first point, hard point, though. So there will be an opportunity for Trainhard to surround this hill and then collectively and simultaneously try to break it. But Kez has been dealt with. Henry as well will not make his way even through the pillars. So Whalers and Detain are the last two left to try to make a play. They're trying to pinch it from opposite angles, and there's an opportunity to maybe catch someone out while they're on top, but Weeman does well to stay alive. Bid's trying to help. The hard point goes neutral with only 10 seconds separating our squads, and eventually Denza doubles down, allowing Passion to get in and maybe even retake the lead.
Passion, they're looking to close this game out right here, Shift. They do not want to see a game number 5. It is 2-2-8. 2-2-8. This game could literally not be closer. And we look over towards the rotation. Passion, they have it. What a last 3 hills this would be if they're able to close it out on this hard point. They are on the rotation. It is just Hixie and Bids here now, though. Can they do it? Bids and Hixie win the ones. Hixie wins 2 over towards Laundry. That should close out this game now. Trainhard spawning inside Art. They're filtering into the death machine. That is Passion. And what a conclusion to that game there from Passion. 250 to 229. It is such a close scoreline, but those last 3 hard points masterfully played by Passion.
And it comes with an incredible amount of individual plays that tilt those advantages into their favor, because Trainhard is doing everything we said they needed to do. They're picking up their tempo, they're playing to the middle of the map, they're contesting every single rotation possible. But then at the very end, when they actually get that full flip of the spawns from the back by basketball, they essentially allow 30, 35 seconds to go away because they can't get down the staircase because of the individual prowess from some of the SMG players from different angles, really, from Passion overall. And then winning that rotation to 5, absolutely key. The fact that they shut down Trainhard from getting that statue control over towards the first hard point. They can't look down into the 5th hill. It gives them a chance to not just get back into the game, but win that rotation going from the 5th to the first hard point again in our last set of hills there. Absolutely beautifully executed. And again, it's just one of those things that you look at this Passion roster. There was moments where Bids was coming out with 2, playing the second AR, other times where he would come off spawn playing the 3rd SMG. They really feel like they've got a comfortable handle on what exactly this meta means as far as play style is concerned. And even though Trainhard, again, they were in this all the way throughout, the small advantage continued to turn up in favor of Passion every single time it needed to.
I just can't believe those last 3 hard points. It was just like every single decision to me was just perfect. It was literally like, I think there was also like a slew of unanswered kills coming in from Passion. I think all of them were on a streak at one point there, especially going into that P5 hard point. It was just perfect play coming out from them, and I absolutely applaud them for that play. It was so well done. And yeah, this is great for a new team. I really love that raid hard point for them. I know most of it is just fundamentals, the way to play hard point generally, but just the snap decision making in that, it really does, I think, show quite a bit of promise for this Passion lineup. But if you are Trainhard, I think, you can't let that one go to your head too much. You can't get yourselves down, but you will be gutted about losing that hard point and not forcing the game 5, because you did have quite a lead there. Not too huge, but I think for the majority of the game, they built up a lead, and it was just kind of unfortunate that they weren't able to maintain it. Let's take a look at our map set then to show you guys exactly how the entirety of the series did show us the way. It's going to be those 3 maps again: Garrison Hardpoint and Raid Hardpoint. Really well played by that Passion lineup, and of course the Search and Destroy as well. Very close. The Control, though, I think is a really promising prospect for Trainhard.
It's one of those that the way that they won 2 of those 3 rounds were in clutch moments. I mean, again, this SMG line, there's so much that we could talk about. I think largely that's going to be the conversation point for a lot of Europe. I really do believe, just kind of to put it out there, just without any pre-context, that the SMGs in this region specifically are going to dictate who the best teams are in this second split. And even though this will still read as a 1-3 loss for Trainhard, you look back at that Control and you take away a lot from the side, the fact that Keza and Detain, as your entry players, were able to find that much value on a difficult map against 3 also very talented SMG players. This Trainhard team, they finished 1-1 of the day, But this loss, I think, was much more heavily contested, and a lot of things that just go right. This one small kill goes your way on some of these rotations and both of those hard points, and Train Hard, they win this series 3-1. The Search and Destroy was also very competitive and close. This Train Hard team is not to be underestimated because they lost this one 1-3, and there were a couple of stat lines in there that didn't look great at times. They look nasty. They look pretty dirty, but I think that says even more about how disgusting this Passion team is, coming off after beating Rams in a map 5 round 11, and then here beating a very good Train Hard team. These could arguably be two of the best teams in this split that they find wins versus in their first 2 matches as a squad in Elite. It's incredible. Incredible stuff for Passion.
It is. Passion, they look like a scary team at the moment. They exit the first day of stage 2 of Challengers Elite here in Europe 2-0 after the wins versus Rams versus Train Hard. The honeymoon period is very strong for this team. Let's hope the marriage can be even stronger once they leave that period. But Shift, that's you and I done here in the European region. It's been a heck of a couple of games, really. A great way to start off stage 2, in my opinion. I have been absolutely elated with the couple of games, with the teams that we've got to cast over today. Any final thoughts from you here, Shift?
Yeah, I mean, just make sure you're staying in touch with everything going on with the Challengers Elite this split, especially for not just Europe, but also North America. We're still working on trying to find a producer for tonight for North America, hoping that we can get everything squared away, because there are a lot of matches that are going to be off the main channel that I'm sure people are going to want to watch. But beyond that, we'll be back tomorrow to do more with not just Europe, but also North America. The only week that'll be a little bit different is week number 2, as the collective group of 3 of us will be on the main channel. So we will not be able to run the community stream, obviously, at the same time. But we'll see if we can maybe give some people an opportunity to jump on and maybe carry this out. So there are ways that you guys can get more coverage overall. So stay in tune with it. Again, not just here, subscribe on your way out, but also head over towards the main channel at youtube.com/COD Challengers to get subscription notifications and stuff like that when that channel goes live, if you want to cover more of that overall Challengers Elite. That's all I've got. I'm just pumped to see North America later tonight.
Absolutely. North America, if Europe is anything to go by, it is going to be incredible. Thank you to everybody for tuning in for day number 1 of stage 2 here in European Challengers Elite. Again, youtube.com/COD Challengers, that's where all of the action is going to be later on, as well as we might have some matches here. But for now, thank you to everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys when we see you.